following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
All ovals have a unique shape, but none more unique than this one. The Tricky Triangle holds rich history in American racing and the Verizon IndyCar Series. After their summer break, the classic IndyCar Series comes back with a bang, a 500-mile race, which will push drivers and cars to their very limits, and in some cases, beyond. Henry Bennett comes into the second half of the season in the championship at the top of the standings, but has stiff competition from AeroX and the like of Matt Cook, who starts on pole today. Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis on the cameras for you today. And Tom, the drivers are going to have to work hard here today. It's a challenging circuit to last the full distance.
Yeah, it's been difficult, hasn't it, for them throughout the season. We've seen a few incidents, but this circuit in particular, it's called the Tricky Triangle for a reason, and they've got 500 miles of it today, so it's going to be tough for them out there.
Indeed so. Warm-up is coming to a close just in around a few seconds' time. We do have a slightly different starting procedure here today. We will be having one lap behind the iRacing pace car, and then we'll be having a slightly... Well, it's going to be a very different style. It's going to be myself driving the pace car for 2 laps before we go back to green flag racing. Tom will be bringing you through the green. And we are going to have something a bit special for you today as well. Joshua Baird, one of the drivers in the series, has provided us with a very lovely track guide. You can see it up on your screens now. Coming down the main straight, pit on the left. That's going to be very important. Under the here, you're going to be doing about 320 kilometers an hour by this point into turn number 1. Turn number 1 is very bumpy. This is, of course, the older Pocono, the one that's from around 2011, so it hasn't been resurfaced. So still an extremely difficult part of the circuit. Down the straight, very fast here. You can see 4th, 5th gear. This is 200 miles an hour plus. This is going to be where it could all crunch down. Slight lift into the left-hander, turn number 2. 2 of 3 on this course. And again, back up against the wall. You want to try and get as high into the wall as possible. Down low once again, off the throttle for turn number 3. And out you come. Good run onto the straight. A very simple lap here, Tom, but it can be made very difficult if you try very hard.
Yeah, especially turn 3 seems to be the issue for a lot of guys. They go into it very, very hard indeed, and it's quite easy if they don't lift enough to put themselves in the wall. So it's going to be challenging for them for all these laps they're going to do. Yeah,
of course, it's a 200-lap race as we are underway behind the iRacing pace car. You can see the whole field moving towards turn number 1 now. You can see a very special car on the inside, one that does not look like an IndyCar. That is being driven by yours truly. Many times that we see on RaceSpot, the commentator also driving in the race. Very special paint for this one as well. I'm not going to do any antics, I'd rather not crash. But Tom, I know this is your first race of this kind of racing. I hope you're excited.
I am excited, yeah. It's a little bit different for me. Most guys will know me from most of the GT stuff that we do and the 60 Plus series. So a little bit different for me. I watched my first Indy 500 ever this season. So yeah, it's going to be good, Jack. I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a long one, so I hope all you guys at home are settled in, yourself some beverages, and enjoy the broadcast.
Indeed, so you are going to, of course, we will be having breaks every now and then. Do expect a few cautions here today. Hopefully not the 17 or the 18 that we've seen at some of the ovals in the past so far this year. And if we see something like that, well, we'll just go to a break and we'll be back in 5 minutes' time. Of course, it is a slightly longer lap here on the oval than some other places. So to take you through your starting procedure, you can currently see the whole field exiting out of turn number 2. We've been very squirrely on the inside. We're now entering into turn number 3. The iRacing pace car will come down to pit lane. We will go to green flag racing. We could technically start racing now. We're not going to. We're going to have a 3-wide start procedure. So the first lap, everyone's just going to be getting into position, making sure they're ready. And the second lap, then we are going to get going. And of course, once we do get going, it's 200 miles of flat-out racing, Tom, on a circuit which you have to be careful because it will bite when it wants to.
Yeah, these boys are going to have to be pushing really, really hard, aren't they? Especially when it comes to strategy and things from the teams. I don't know about you, Jack, but I wouldn't really want to be in the midfield for the first part of the lap. So it's just about keeping your wits about you and keeping your distances from other drivers and just not taking risks too early on into the track, because as we know, as we've seen with IndyCar, the real life IndyCar, further on into a race, it's all that strategy comes into play in about the last 50 laps. So.
And oh, sorry, Tom, go on.
That's right. Yeah, so it should be good from the guys today. As I say, they'll be talking to their teams and to and from their teammates and things like that, and using each other to sling shots. So I am really, really excited to see how this plans out. As I say, it is my first oval race here on Racespot TV.
This is going to be a very large race of strategy. Who can get that strategy spot on? If you can come across the line running on fumes, you're going to be in a much better position than someone who's had to pit 5 laps earlier. Alexander Rossi did it 2 years ago at the 100th running of the Indianapolis 500. He managed to win the race on quite literally fumes. He did it on strategy in his rookie year. One of the only drivers who's ever been able to take a rookie win at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. The Tricky Triangle has got some famous past in the IndyCar series. One of them I am not going to mention at all, because it's not something that the series likes to look back on. Pocono always does provide good racing. And Tom, what for you would you say is going to be one of the big challenges for today?
Big challenges, I think, is going to be fuel. The guys have got to make sure that they're taking the right amount of fuel for the strategy, because like you say, Jack, when they get towards the end of the race, if they're on fumes but you're still getting across the line, that's going to be perfect for them. Don't want to see what people have done in the past, where with 4 laps to go, the red light's on, the fuel's literally flashing away at them, and they've got to pit again, and that can really kill a race, even in the very closing stages of these races.
You've just had a very quick look through at your starting grid on your screens. You can see the whole field currently executing out of turn number 3, and you will see on the wall there written what turn number 4. Of course, this is the only oval in the world where turn number 4 does not exist. Of course, some ovals have 2 corners, some ovals have 4 corners, some ovals have 2 corners and say they have 4. Don't ask me how that one works. But this second pace lap, everyone's going to speed up to around 100 miles an hour, 160 kilometers an hour. This is going to be a much faster lap, this one. So, yeah, you can see the field coming into turn 1. Everyone is now in position, ready for the start. And well, Mr. Jacobs, you'll be bringing us round to the start.
Yeah, I will be. Excited, and a little bit nervous actually to do this, but it should be good from what we see, as the boys now starting to get themselves into position behind the pace car, as you can see on your screen. So Matt Cook there, he's in the leading position. He's got everything to lose and everything to play for, as he basically, behind the pace car, leads everyone down towards the start now. So he'll be making sure that he's looking left and right, making sure where the other guys are. He's got 2 cars higher than him on the track, up high. So he'll just be keeping the pace nicely. He'll be looking in his mirrors and making sure that all these guys are behind him where he wants them to be. So it's going to be a fantastic race here today. The guys will be pushing hard. As I say, it's all going to come down to strategy for them. Randy Crosno looked good in practice, so be interested to see what he can do for us today. And then Henry Bennett, as we say, has got some work to do down there in 5th, but he should make it up on strategy as the pace car pulls in now, and the guys will start to build up the revs, getting ready for green flag racing, and away we go. So Matt Cook looks like he's got a very, very good start there. Randy Crosno didn't get the best start off the line, and so Matt Cook shoots off into the lead. Behind him, Randy Shoemaker as well, straight into the slipstream and fighting hard there. As they come around the first corner, everyone looks to have got through quite cleanly there, and now it seems to be battle of the slipstream. So as they come down towards turn number 2 now, dipping in there on board, as we can see, a little bit further down with Joshua Baird. He's pushing hard there. What a great livery that car's got at the moment. Into 5th gear and really, really pushing these revs. It's now about keeping behind that car and letting the slipstream go, Jack.
Joshua Baird currently running in 6th. He has got the driver behind of Andrew Aitken. Aitken will want to try and make up some positions. First lap done. Matt Cook crossing the line. He's had a good start. Currently up in the lead. He has a lead of around half a second over Randy Shoemaker and Randy Crosno in 3rd. Robert Grosser, your defending champion, is down in 4th. We have 28 cars who have taken to the start. As Marshall Stanley's got his way past Carsten Brodby in the mid-pack. That's your battle for 16th position at the moment. So from 1st to 19th, that's one big pack. Caleb Weekly and Ryan Hellier are going to be going side by side by the looks of it into turn number 2. Vasilia Ollier and Jonathan Diggs going to be getting past each other as well. Nice start from everyone, Tom. That's what they need to do. Nice and clean start for the first few laps.
Yeah, it was a nice clean start, wasn't it? After watching IndyCar, I was expecting a bit more frills and spills, but the boys seem to be going really, really well, getting as close to the wall as they can, as we see the guys come over the line now. Randy Shoemake, the new fastest lap of a 43.155, so that's a good time from him, Jack, considering they'll probably have quite a bit of fuel on board at the moment.
As you're looking back from the driver of Randy Shoemake himself towards Randy Crosno, he's already got a gap of a second over the third place driver, so Shoemake using the draft of his teammate ahead of Matt Cook to his advantage to make sure that he can start gapping. Of course, 198 laps to go. It's a long race so far. Expect to see some cautions at some point round towards the rear of your field. They're going to go 3 wide into turn number 3. It looks as though they were at one point. You can see them really having a good scrap. This is actually the battle for about position number 23 here, Tom, as we have a car around. That's Matt Molnar. He is off the track, so hopefully as he brings himself down onto pit lane. That's got heavy damage. Replay up on your screen. Coming out of turn number 3. A little bit too eager on the power, I think there, Tom, and just had a little bit of a meeting with that outside wall.
Yeah, it's like I said at the start of the race, if you don't lift off enough during turn 3, the car gets severe understeer here. I think it's due to the bumps, and obviously it's the pre-resurfacing time. Yeah, as we see there, he just went too wide and just clipped the front right, and round it went. So big damage to him there. He will be quite disappointed.
As he is down onto pit lane. He's back going again, so he's going to come out with in the main pack of cars back to live pictures. You can see Matt Molnar rejoining the track. He's going to keep to the far left hand side, down low through turn number 1. That's actually going to compromise the drivers behind him. That's the group. That's the battle for position number 6 out on track between Joshua Baird, Andrew Wood, Andrew Aitken. And you can just see that car down to the inside. That is the driver of Aitken himself into turn number 2 for the 5th time. At the moment, nice and simple, as Caleb Weekly and Marshall Stanley are swapping positions. Lucas Laville looking like he's going to get involved in this one. I think that's Mike Gerlicher as well. They're going to go very wide. We've got this lovely VR on board with Joshua Baird at the moment. You can see it on your screens on the left hand side, and you're looking at the TV pictures on the right. Gives you a clue to how fast this circuit is.
It's so fast, isn't it? It really is a brilliant circuit here. I've always enjoyed watching the iRacing IndyCar stuff here, especially with these older cars as well. I prefer the way they look and the way that they drive, so compared to the newer stuff we've got. Those guys go 3 wide, and that could have been absolutely fatal for those guys there. As you see, not sure who that is in the orange car there, had to brake really, really hard as they come out of turn 1 to try and avoid an accident there, Jack. That could have been really nasty.
And I've just noticed we have lost the 3rd place driver already, Randy Crosno, hard into the wall on the outside of turn number 1. Just still looking at that battle. Here we go, replay up on your screen. You can see this is the end of the accident. Hard incident with the inside wall. There was also contact with the outside wall into turn number 1, riding on board. Okay, it's down low, down to 4th gear. Just tracks out wide by the looks of it. No, he doesn't. He's just a bit early on the power, Tom. Whether the tyres aren't up to temperature just yet, and hard into that inside wall.
Yeah, that was a bit of a strange one for him there. It seemed that, as you say, Jack, he come out of turn 1.
Sorry, Henry Bennett. Henry Bennett's just done
there. He's just gone off. That's a massive accident for him there. A lot of damage on the car. I'm sure we'll get a replay from that from the production office here at RaceBot TV. But he will be absolutely gutted there in the number 007 car. So replay here for you on your screens as he's right up behind there, pushing really, really hard. He's out into the slipstream, has a little look to the left there, goes up the inside, and as we look on our screens, yeah, it just went too wide there, Jack. Seems to have hit a bump, and round he went. So he will be gutted, and we are at yellow flag racing here at Pocono.
We are indeed. Pocono goes to its first caution. Henry Bennett with a heavy incident. This is your championship leader, and he is already out of the event. Not what we wanted to see. So Matt Cook currently rounding through turn number 3, and he will pick up the iRacing pace car, the Mustang, when he comes down the front straight. We completed a grand total of 8 racing laps there, Tom, before we went to our first yellow flag period. A lot of these drivers will probably choose to stay out on circuit, because I think the ones who have damage are the ones who had really hard damage. So we're going to step aside for a few moments here on RaceBot TV, and we will be back in a few moments' time, ready to go back to green flag racing.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Cronky! Down to the inside of Hookie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Still under yellow flag procedures here at Pocono Raceway. On to lap number 2 of our first caution of the event. Matt Cook still continuing to lead. He got a good start over his teammate of Randy Shoemake and Randy Crosno. Crosno we have already lost. Henry Bennett was cautioning this first caution after a very heavy incident with the wall on the outside of turn number 2. Jack Stars alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis behind the cameras. Tom, nice good start from all the drivers out on the track so far. Just need to be careful of those outside walls.
Yeah, they do, don't they? Making sure that they lift at the appropriate times, not to put themselves in the wall. But Matt Cook and Randy Shoemake, Jack, brilliant start from them. We saw Randy Shoemake at one point having a whole second lead over third place and reeling Matt Cook in until quite quickly, until the yellow flag came out. So it'll be interested to see at the start what sort of strategy and what sort of power those guys make.
Yeah, indeed. So it's going to be the strategy calls which are going to be interesting. We should go back to green flag racing after one more lap under the pace car. As they round through the turn number 3 at Pocono. And while Tom, you've only experienced 8 laps of oval racing under green flag conditions, but what is your first thoughts?
It's quite exciting, isn't it? It's a bit of a change of pace for me. As I say, I normally do GT stuff, and the 60 Plus series are on RaceSpot TV. But no, it's been really, really interesting. Looking forward to doing another if I can. So I hope all you guys at home are enjoying as well.
As some of the drivers do make their way down onto pit lane, lights on top of the pace car have gone out, and we will be going back to green flag racing next time by. Currently holding a speed of 120 kilometers an hour. That means a lap here is going to be around 2.25 minutes. Almost seconds then. That would have been very fast. Jos van der Ven is your driver who has come down onto the pit lane. He is making his first stop of the event so far. And he looks as though he's going to be back going in just a few moments. He might be having some damage repairs. Of course, with such a long lap here, Tom, you will be able to get a good amount of damage repair done without having to lose any time.
Yeah, which is good for the drivers that obviously did hit the wall, even if they've got a little bit of minor damage. But to be honest with you, it's if you're under safety car conditions or pace car conditions, as we call it in America, it's a free pit stop for him. So he'll be able to get out, take tyres, take fuel, take whatever he needs. But the big thing here is, Jack, is now everyone's, because of this safety car, and as we know, safety cars do breed safety cars, they're going to have to change their strategies about a little bit here.
They are indeed, and if it is such the fact that safety cars do breed the safety cars that we see very often, they are going to have to be very careful as the field rounds through turn number 2. It's going to be a single file restart with Matt Cook leading the way. As soon as the pace car comes down onto the lane, Matt Cook will be under control. These drivers need to be very careful. Obviously, there's a beautiful thing in these IRO5s called the 9,000 RPM kill switch. I know I've been a victim of it a few times, and I think you have as well, Tom, when we've been messing around on certain series on iRacing which use this car. We'll get back to that in just a few moments. The pace car dives its way down onto the pit lane. Matt Cook is left under the control of the 28 car field. We're back to green flag racing here at Pocono. Everyone off to a nice clean start, defending that high line so far. No overtaking opportunities as of yet. It's a little bit further back, battle for second position. Robert Grosser going to be attacking the driver of Randy Shoemake into turn number 1 this time. He's got challenge behind from Joshua Baird. Baird looking to the outside, but he's going to have the door. He's going to close the door. And Robert Grosser, He's one of the drivers that you have to be very careful with. You're riding on board on the left-hand side of your screen with Joshua Baird. He's currently running in position number 4. And it's a lovely onboard shot, isn't that, Tom?
It's a gorgeous shot, isn't it? Props to him for giving us the ability to do that. As he comes around turn 3 now, just feathering the throttle a little bit in 4th gear, building up the revs now right up to 10,000 RPM. And he should change into 5th as he does so. So he'll be fighting hard, and he's got a really good opportunity here, Jack, to get himself right up towards the leaders, because what I can see on my screens, he's running really well at the moment.
He is indeed. He's putting on a great performance, although he has got a driver behind attacking him. That is indeed the 29, I think. Yeah, that's the 29. I think he might even be a lap down. That is your driver of... I'm trying to find out for you. I will find out for you in a sec. That is Matt Molnar. So Matt Molnar would say one of the drivers who had a few issues. He's currently down in 26th position, but he's making his way back through the pack. And, well, no wave arounds by the looks of it, Tom. So Matt Molnar's got to do it all by himself.
Yeah, he has to, hasn't he? So maybe Matt Molnar will be looking forward to a safety car. He seemed to breeze past Joshua Baird there. Don't know if Joshua Baird got a little bit of trouble out of turn 1. As we look back from Andrew Aitken's car, he's having quite a good race at the moment in 4th position, the number 27 car. So he's fighting hard right up against the wall as we're looking back at the number 23 car as they go 3 wide now. Andrew Wood on board with Andrew Wood, looking to the right, and they seem to have got him there as he looks over and he goes up the inside as Andrew Wood, but doesn't seem to make it stick on the number 23 car of Joshua Baird. So Joshua Baird holding his own at the moment, Jack.
Anissa Nyemi and Sasha Lamp, 2 more drivers who want to get involved in this one. Timo Nyemi is teammate to Robert Grosser, so he might be trying to help out Robert, let him get a little bit more of a gap. But as you can see, as they cross the line to start lap number 15 of this 200-mile race, or 200-lap race, 500-mile race, 26 laps remaining. The driver of Andrew Aitken is trying to put the pressure onto Andrew Wood, but Sasha Lamp behind is not making it easy. Lamp currently running that high line. Maybe looking down to the inside into turn number 2. Not going to be able to get it done. He has got the 33, Timo Sinyomi behind, and for Sasha Lamp moving to the outside. Talk Freak Racing is usually a GT team there, Tom, but they're having a bit of a go at IndyCars, and it's good to see some of the bigger teams as Lamp using that high line and going very, very wide.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? But Lamp's having a good race. As we see who's coming up on now. It looks like Johnny Garrett in the number 68 car. He backed off a little bit there. So Joshua Baird leads them through, and they are absolutely pinned at the moment. Flat as much as he can. We see a slow car. We see, is it the number 12 of Caleb Weekly? Seems to be going slow at the moment. He's a lap down though, so he'll be getting lapped by the other drivers as he darts out the way, as he should do. So that's absolutely good sportsmanship from him. And as we see, Joshua Baird seems to have lost that place now. Seems to be down in 5th. I think he's lost it to Andrew Wood there, Jack.
He has. Andrew Wood has got through, and Joshua Baird's just lost another one. I'm not sure who that was. I think that might have been Andrew Aitken. It wasn't. So there's another driver who's getting involved. That's Timo Sinyomi. Sinyomi is up about 4 positions on this lap, Tom. Baird looking to the inside into turn number 1. This very long, very wide front straight down into turn number 1 they go once again. And they are going to go side by side, but can Timo Sinyomi hold the position? He can. The high line working for him. This is a team which is very
crash in the background, Jack. There's someone off in the background trying to see who that is off on the grass. We only got a glimpse of them. Not sure who that is. We've got a replay here on board, and it's Joshua Lamp seems to have had the issue in the number 42 car as he goes up the inside now of the number 27. And as he goes through, taking the inside line, big on the power, and as we go up in the number 42 car, just seemed to squirrel a bit. Oh, and down he goes. That's really unfortunate for him in the number 42 as he was running so well. Not sure who he got collected up with there, but unfortunate for him, it was Johnny Garrett in the number 68 as he come out of turn 1 there, and he just clipped the wall like so many have done, Jack. Took him round, and unfortunate for all the other drivers that were involved in that incident.
It just looks as though Sasha also had an incident. It was 2 separate incidents that combined into one. You're riding on board with Sasha Lamp. You can see that he got loose on the exit of turn number 1. Very lucky to hold that. Bang! There was a car into the side of him. Not much more that neither of those drivers can do. We do stay green flag racing here at Pocono. So although the incident did happen, they managed to keep it off circuit. And you can see a very broken number 42 machine. He has taken himself back to the pit lane. Same with Johnny Corrett. Back to live pictures now, focusing on the battle for 4th position. This is between Timo Niemi and Andrew Wood. Andrew Wood looks as though he might try and get past at some point. I think he may have done. Actually, I'm on replay. That's why it's all looking a bit squirrely for me. So Timo Niemi currently leading the driver of Andrew Wood. So 33 from 32. Andrew Wood, or Timo Niemi, Vortex Sim Racing, Tom, a very capable team when it comes to IndyCars. They are the reigning champion, 3-time champions, drivers' champions in this series in the form of Robert Grosser. You can't really get much better.
No, you can't, can you? As they're quite famous in the esports world and the iRacing world for being so good at IndyCar. So he's running well at the moment, his young Timo. The number 33 car, running in 4th, and he'll be chasing down the likes of Robert Grosser, Randy Shoemake and Matt Cook. So there's really some fierce battles developing out there at the moment, Jack.
Vortex Sim Racing are also the reigning champions of the CIS 500 miles. Last year, TM Hauser won the Indianapolis 500. They did an Indianapolis race this year. It was at the Grand Prix circuit. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to make that one. But instead, they decided to come to Pocono, to the Tricky Triangle, one of the greatest oval circuits in American racing. Robert Grosser diving his way, or one of the drivers ahead. That's Timo Niemi. Timo Niemi actually has to deal with some traffic before he can attack the driver of Robert Grosser, and that's going to be the driver of Matt Molnar.
Yeah, Matt Molnar is whereabouts is he at the moment, Jack? I'm not
23rd.
Yeah, he's down in 23rd at the moment, so he's not having the best race at the moment. But we're on board with him looking back as the other drivers come through at the moment. But as we know, Jack, it's a long race. This as he darts into the pit lane. Doesn't Matt Molnar? No, he doesn't. He just takes the escape road there. So it's a long race for him, but it can all be won and lost on strategy. He can easily get himself back up with the front runners, depending on safety cars and incidents, what he does in terms of fuel and tyres. So it'll all switch round for him. They'll be on a plan C and a plan D strategy for later on in the race. They're on board now with Marshall Stanley, and he is on board behind Lucas Laville in the number 2 car as they go into turn 1. And as we can see, Jack, the suspension having to work really hard there. It really is a bumpy circuit here.
Turn 1 is one of the bumpiest sections of this course. Lucas Laville has got his way past Marshall Stanley in the last lap or so. And down to turn number 2, it just looks like Lucas Laville has been able to gap him slightly. The top 6 have all spread themselves out now, so they're not within a second of each other anymore. Looks like the first battle we have in your field today is this one between Lucas Laville and Marshall Stanley. We then have a pack running from 9th right down to 16th. That is from the driver of Mike Gerlicher all the way down to the driver of Vestiuda Ollier. As we do have a yellow flag out on circuit, we have lost a driver, and I have a feeling that driver is Andrew Aitken.
It looked to be, was it Caleb Weekly actually in the green number 12 car as he comes round turn 3 on the bumps, taking the low line there. It just steps out on him, doesn't it? I don't know whether he hit a bump there or got a little bit too much on the power, but we will go to yellow flag racing here on RaceSpot TV on the iRacing Esports Network. Yeah.
And of course, Caleb Weekly, he's managed to get it back going again, but he has lost a considerable amount of time for Matt Cook. He's going to pick up the pace car this time by. He needs to scrub off some speed though, so down to caution number 2 here at Pocono Raceway. 24 of 200 laps completed. Another 177 to go. This race does have a 4-hour time limit, double the length of our usual 2-hour time limit that we see in this series, and depending on cautions we could hit it. It's estimated that we should finish the race within about 3 hours, and we've currently had around 27 minutes so far, 25 minutes so far today, so it all has to be wait to see. We are going to step aside here on RaceSpot TV and on the iRacing Esports Network. We'll be back in just a few moments, ready for the drop of the green flag.
So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
4 more kilometers. Oh, there we go! They touch!
This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride.
Frankie! Down to the inside, and Hoosie's off!
Passenger throws the block, and he will keep him behind him.
My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time. None of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'll never go back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR Ignite Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Welcome back to RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing Esports Network, live from Pocono Raceway for the classic IndyCar Series Pocono 500. Do not forget, coming your way this evening is going to be round 2 of the McLaren Shadow Qualifiers. That is going to be coming your way in just a few moments' time. That will also be on the iRacing Esports Network, but of course, you know you want to stick around for the remainder of this race. At the moment, the driver of Jan Hoffman leads the race. The top pack have come down onto pit lane, which means that it has shaken up the standings. Matt Cook, though, is currently still in 3rd, so hasn't lost too much time. But some of the drivers who are running up the front, they have dropped down the field quite a lot. Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs. And Hugo Lois will be going to our 3rd green flag section just after this lap. The lights are off on the top of the pace car, and your top 8 is up on screen. And Tom, this is where the strategy starts to come into play. Do people stay out in the hope that they're going to get another caution in the next 10 laps or so before they have to come back down onto the pits and make a green flag pit stop? Or do you go in now and get your pit stop done?
Yeah, as we saw in the ad break, a lot of the guys did come down pit road. It was probably half the field, which is interesting to see how the different teams and stuff are going to split strategies. You know, you've got teammates. Do you take one car in, leave one car out? So it's maybe about getting the undercut, but then you've got the point that safety cars and yellow flags do breed yellow flags and safety cars. So it's a bit of a risk for the guys, but I would have probably taken tyres at this point.
And of course, the classic IndyCar Series, it has 2 main sponsors, the first of which is Joel Real Timing. There was a Joel Real Timing Pro License key given to the fastest qualifier. Matt Cook won that one, so he was able to take away that fastest qualifying prize. As we bring ourselves back to green flag racing, the field is under the control of Jan Hoffman. Carsten Brovey is sitting in 2nd, holding that high line, the defensive line through turn number 3. So the pace car will jump its way down onto pit lane. And there will be some drivers just behind, ready to pounce, ready to go. As Jan Hoffman jumps, green flag racing. Bit of a stall behind from the driver of Carsten Brovey. This is going to give Matt Cook and Randy Shoemaker a good battle into turn number 1. Are they going to go 3 wide with the driver of Sasha Lamp, who is 2 laps down on their outside? They are not indeed. So Randy Shoemaker, Matt Cook down to the low side. And Sasha Lamp back up high. Marshall Stanley, we're back to yellow. Yellow breed yellow. And this has been a very large accident, I think, here, Tom.
Yeah, it seems to be huge, didn't it? Carsten Brodby, though, didn't get the best of starts. Seemed to get forced into Matt Cook and Randy Shoemaker. So he'll be upset about that. But the replay here, if we go back to the replay on your screens here on RaceSpot TV. So the guys were fighting hard, as we can see. There was a little bit of argy-bargy coming down, I believe that's turn 1 there. And yeah, they just got a little bit out of shape. Lucas Laville in the number 2 car got a little bit out of shape, collected someone else, and then proceeded to collect the rest of the pack. So unfortunate for him, but obviously now he's on a caution flag. He can get the car back into the pits and let the team do what they can do best. Collected the number 23 car there as well. So unfortunate for those drivers that got caught up in that, but we are back to yellow flag racing here. So interesting to see what strategies come out now. As we said before, Jack, the guys that pitted before, do you think it was worth the risk to take tyres then? Because they could take tyres now.
I would probably say that the people who pitted on the last caution period will probably stay out on circuit. The people who pitted on the one which was about 19 laps ago now, I would say they're actually going to come back down onto lane, get their service done, because they don't know. You might have a 50-60 lap green flag period now, and if they have to make a green flag pit stop, they're going to lose a considerable amount of time. So for Jan Hoffman and Carsten Brovey, the 2 drivers who are 1 and 2 as it stands at the moment, currently back looking at live pictures, these drivers, this is where strategy is going to become important. because it's going to be a case of what can people do. And of course, Classic IndyCar series not only powered by dual real timing, as I mentioned just a couple of minutes ago, it's also boosted by logical innovative engineering. Logical offers professional solutions to satisfy the needs of virtual pilots. For this reason, we have created, with the help of a passionate and professional team, several tools that easily adapt to the pilot himself, to his or her way of driving, reacting and feeling. We intend you to sense every lap, every acceleration, each turn, not to imagine but to experiment that you really are. Go to logical.com for more information and you can have a look at the products offered. And of course at RaceSpot TV, we have been proud supporters of the Classic IndyCar series for a few seasons now. It's become one of the big series here on the iRacing Esports Network. Of course, the iRacing Esports Network was launched just a month ago, Tom. It means that we can get three very good broadcasting companies, all their broadcasting to one position, as we see Marshall Stanley now bringing himself down to pit lane.
Yeah, it brings the car in, doesn't he? A brilliant stop by him, but as we can see, he's got damage to the front wing, so that'll upset him a little bit, but hopefully the team can get that car back out. As we know from real life IndyCar, when they do finish the race, they're normally caked in flies, oil, damage and everything else. So Jan Hoffman at the moment, he's leading out in front, so he'll be happy with that. That's a couple of laps led for him, as we see the number 46 car of Matt Cook. So he'll be quite happy with that, Jack, I think, at the moment, because he's been fighting really well and he's been going really well in this race so far. And then Carsten Brodvie, he will be looking, I think, to get a better start than he did last time round, because it was a little bit late there. Jan Hoffman pulled away and Carsten Brodvie didn't really seem to go anywhere until it got up into about third or fourth gear, Jack.
No, indeed not. And while we're having a little bit of a lull in this caution period, we do have a bit of a visitor to the RaceSpot TV booth. That is was going to be the driver of Lucas Field, but he's decided to go away for a few moments. So while we're waiting for the race to go back to green, Tom, I know there was an announcement a few days ago regarding some of the content that's going to be coming our way in the upcoming September build of iRacing. And of course, one of the big standout features is going to be the new Monster Energy NASCAR Chevrolet Camaro. And of course, there is a new rallycross circuit on the way. So I must admit, it's a little bit of a lull build, this one, Tom, but lots and lots of exciting content coming your way as well for everyone on the iRacing service.
Yeah, iRacing's been teasing us with this new damage model as well. As we see, Carsten Brodvie seems to be going into the pits. As we see now, Lucas Laville is ready to talk to us in the RaceSpot TV booth.
He is indeed, and Lucas, well, you're out of this event already. Clearly not the run at Pocono you wanted. Oh, well, maybe he's not quite ready just yet. So, Lucas Laville, once we do have him on side, we will have a chat to him, of course. Looks as though we won't be going back to green flag racing this time. So this is actually a bit of an extended caution period here, Tom. I wonder whether everyone's just starting to get back into the rhythm. Jan Hoffman, though, still leading over the driver of Matt Cook. It looks as though Carsten Brodvie has come down onto pit lane. So for Carsten Brodvie, he's running very slowly at the moment. So Matt Cook promotes himself up into second position. He's got one more car to get past Tom. And he's got a nice clear run into the lead and a good chance to get a good gap on some of these drivers.
Yeah, we've seen from him so far, haven't we, Jack, that he's been exceptionally fast around here. Him and Randy Shoemake seem to be absolutely fantastic. So Matt Cook will be looking on the restart to get a brilliant start, get it in the right gear, right revs and everything, to get a slingshot past Jan Hoffman, which he started to do at the last restart we had. So interesting to see from him what he's going to do here, the Canadian there in third gear behind Jan Hoffman and the pace car as they come around turn 3 now. And you can even see at these slow paces, Jack, just how bumpy this circuit really is.
And of course, the longer we spend behind this iRacing pace car, the more time that it will take for the tyres to come back up to temperature. They're going to be getting extremely cold, almost like blocks of ice. You do not want to be driving blocks of ice in very warm weather. Lights are off on the iRacing Mustang pace car. We'll be back to green flag racing next time by, and hopefully we can get just more than 2 corners.
Yeah, hopefully, because I know that all we want to see is racing, and it's not really racing behind the safety car, which is a problem we've had in F1 for the past few years of the hybrid era, that whenever it's a wet race, as we saw in Silverstone in 2016, we start and do 7 laps behind the safety car with all the drivers moaning behind them, you know, we've got wet tyres on, just let us go. But the safety car will come in this lap, so Jan Hoffman in the number 5 car, and behind him Matt Cook in the number 46 car. They will all be getting ready to do a slingshot, hold the pack back, so they will, and then they will absolutely nail it into turn 1. Randy Shoemake as well, he's having a really good run here, Jack. We've mentioned him a little bit, but not too much. He's having a really, really solid drive at the moment.
Currently running in 3rd position. He does have the driver ahead of him of Sasha Lamp. He's down in 24th at the moment. Had a few issues so far. Was obviously, of course, was caught up in one of the few incidents that we have had so far today. So as they round through turn number 2 for lap number 31 of this event, we'll be looking to get ourselves back towards green flag racing once again. Matt Cook, all he needs to do is if he can get a good start and a good jump on Jan Hoffman, he's got a nice barrier between himself and Randy Shoemake. But look, watch out for Robert Grosser. He hasn't had the greatest of seasons, but coming into the second half of this championship, I'm sure that he'll be hoping for a little bit more luck. Round turn number 3, holding the high line. Single file these drivers go, riding on board with the driver of Jan Hoffman. We're going to bring you back to green flag racing with some RaceSpot TV fan immersion. Racing here at Pocono into turn number 3. The leaders come. We have seen Sasha Lamp. He bogged down a little bit on the start there, Tom. Had to use a little bit more pace, but Battlefield lead. Matt Cook moves to the inside. Down low he goes. And just using that experience and a little bit more straight line speed. A couple of cars bringing themselves down onto pit lane as well. And to the lead goes Matt Cook. Yeah, a great move from him. He just got the slingshot, didn't he, on Jan Hoffman there, who's now being backed into Randy Shoemake. As we look a little bit further down, he's going to be pushing really, really hard now. Matt Cook seems to be pulling a little bit of a gap now on Jan Hoffman, so I don't know what sort of fuel strategy he's running, but Jan Hoffman now really being backed into Randy Shoemake, and Randy Shoemake absolutely capitalising on this. You see Jan Hoffman goes quite high, in fact extremely high out of turn 3, and Randy Shoemake goes up the inside then. He's gone down low, he's taken the low line going in towards turn 1, and it seemed from our point of view, Jack, here on RaceSpot TV, that he's got that move done. So Randy Shoemake now up into 2nd, and Randy Shoemake and Matt Cook 1st and 2nd positions as they started. Aero X backed into the 1-2 position, so Jan Hoffman tumbling down the field. He's gone from 1st to 3rd in 1 lap. I have a feeling that he was forced to run that higher line. The high line through turn number 3 is not the line you want to go. Looking further back in your field, this is the battle for position number, I'm probably going to say this is the battle for position number 7 actually. We're currently looking at the driver of Andrew Aitken, and in front of him is the driver of Ryan Hellier. Aitken looking to the outside, looking high out of turn number 3, looking down to the inside as well. Ryan Hellier just looks as though he's using the draft of the cars ahead. There is some side-by-side between Timo Sinyemi and Matt Molnar. Molnar, of course, still lapped down to the inside, goes Andrew Aitken. Ryan Hellier stuck on the outside line, not an optimal line at the moment. It hasn't rubbered up just yet, but Aitken running very wide, almost collecting the wall. Looks as though he's got the move done. Yeah, he looks as though he's got that move done, but now he's going to be coming under pressure from those guys behind him. He did get a sort of a good run out of turn 2. Turn 1, as they go through turn 2 now. But this is a fierce battle fighting up, as you see the guys still fighting behind them as well. Going into turn 3 now, pushing really, really hard, trying to get that slipstream
as we're on board now with the number 31 of Mike Galicka from Ohio. He's in 10th position, looking to capitalise in front of him and take Sam Winton, who's taken the low line now on the 8th position car, who is currently Ryan Hellier. Sorry, just looking at my broadcast there. So he takes the Highland now, does Mike Galicka, and he looks to be has moved up into 9th position there, Jack.
He has indeed. Sam Winton going to be losing out. Down into 10th position he goes. Joshua Baird has got himself past Klaus Peterson just behind this battle as well. Currently riding on board with the driver of Mike Galicka and looking at his rear right wheel. Everything looks good so far. Looking backwards from the number 31 machine as he heads through turn number 3. And you can actually hear how reluctant the driver is to get on the power tom. You don't want to be too early because there's two very inviting walls. Okay, this is a very wide pit straight as we ride on board with Sam Winton. You can still very easily make a mistake.
Yeah, you can, and we've seen it so much around here, haven't we, where the guys have just gone a little bit too fast into a corner. You know, the problem is when you're racing at these high speeds is you get excited and you see the position coming and you see the driver in front of you getting closer, as we see on board now with Andrew Aitken, Ryan Hellier having a little go, having a little look down into turn number 2, and I think he might have clipped the wall there coming out of turn 2, so that could have been costly for him, but a fierce battle building up here. But as I was saying earlier, you see the position coming and you tend to push really, really hard and you make that dive for it, and that can absolutely write your race off, because if the guy in front of you doesn't see you, Jack, it really is game over.
Yeah, you've got to be very aware of your surroundings. And Jan Hoffman, Andrew Wood side by side on the exit to turn number 1. Looks as though the driver of Andrew Wood has managed to get through on Jan Hoffman. Hoffman now going to lose out to a back marker. That's definitely not something he wanted. Sasha Lamp still in this one. He is, of course, still 2 laps down off the incident he had with Johnny Garrett. So for Jan Hoffman, he's just coming to the point, I think, Tom, where he's starting to flatline. Maybe noticing that, okay, he's on 29 lap old tyres. Everyone else is on much fresher tyres around him. Timo Sinyemi now heads down to the inside.
Yeah, Timo there got the move on him, and I think that's because out of turn 3, Jan Hoffman had a little bit of a moment, corrected it, and then very, very slightly hit the wall, which really did kill his momentum. So the Honda engine in that car will not be appreciating that too much, as well as the gearbox. As you see Timo now in the number 33 car, he's just pulling away from Jan Hoffman here. I don't know whether Jan's got a problem or whether he's taken tyres or his tyres are worn or he's running a high fuel load, but he really is dropping back at the moment, Jack.
Sam Winton looks as though he's been having a battle. Or Mike Galicka as well. Galicka looks as though he might be dropping down the field. He's stuck on the inside into turn number 3. Car to the high side of Mr. Galicka. He's actually dropped a long way, so something must have gone wrong for that driver. He stays out on the circuit. He's dropped from 9th to 12th on this lap alone there, Tom. Clearly not having a good run at the moment. Matt Cook still continuing to lead this race from his teammate of Randy Shoemake by 1.2 seconds.
Yeah, those guys out in front are going really, really well, aren't they? But we see Galicka there. He is falling back. I don't know whether it's a setup issue on the car or whether, as we said before, on other cars the tyres have been worn, but you can see how much he's pulling back from the guy in 11th place, which is Vesa Olja from Finland. It's now nearly coming up to a second now, and he seems to be dropping back more and more. So having a bit of trouble there in number 31 car. He won't be happy with that. Hopefully they can do some setup changes. As we see, coming out of turn 3, Joshua Baird now really in towards that fight. I think it's even for 7th or 8th place. They're fighting hard now as we've got on board with Joshua Baird. He did fantastic. Brilliant shots we've got from him. Takes a little bit of a high line, so he's planted himself middle of the road to try and block off the cars behind him. Fighting hard so far. He's got a car on the inside at the moment. That is of... so Joshua Baird's got the car on the inside of him at the moment, fighting really, really hard, and he's going to have to really push here, Jack, to try and stay in that position.
And that car down to his inside was Henry Bennett, your championship leader. He's already had one incident, caused 1 caution so far today. We currently still running under green flag racing is Andrew Aitken now. It's his turn to get himself past Jan Hoffman. So Hoffman tumbling back to 7th in the field. Back to TV cameras. Into turn number 1 they go. Henry Bennett taking a slightly higher line. This means that he can defend off of the driver behind him. And that could actually anger the guys behind him because they know that he's a lap down, but he is a very capable driver down to the inside of Joshua Baird into turn number 2. Baird is just going to have to let Bennett go. because there's no way he can fight through that corner.
No, and the problem that you're going to see, as we see in F1 and we saw in Hungary as well, if you're challenging a driver like that, there's no point in taking the fight to him because you're just going to end up destroying your tyres and burning a lot more fuel. At the end of the day, Jack, he is a lap down, so maybe from the team they've said to Joshua, you know, just let him go, and then you've got your own battles to fight at the moment here.
So, of course, Henry Bennett still getting stuck up in this little mid-pack battle that we have going on at the moment. He's going to the outside of the driver of Ryan Hellier. Wasn't able to get the move done. He's going to have to look to the inside. Down low, we've got a car off on the inside out of turn number 1. That is the driver of Matt Molnar. He's already 3 laps down in this event, and he's already out. Replay up on your screen. Coming out of turn number 1, was it contact with the outside wall? It maybe was, or could have just been a case of a little bit too much power, and the grip wasn't there to compensate.
No, it wasn't, was it? And because he's 3 laps down, I imagine that he's been pushing really hard here. And what he's done is he's probably scrubbed off his tyres quite badly. Just got a little bit too much on the power and ended up in the wall. As we look back on board with Ryan Hellier's car, I believe at the moment, looking back at the number 23 of Joshua Baird. And this is a fierce battle unfolding here, Jack.
It is. For looking back, you can see Ryan Hellier, also one of the guys behind the IndyCar series, as we go on board once again with Joshua Baird's helmet cam. You can see the gap looks a little bit bigger on the left-hand side than it does on the right. He gets stuck up high, but has Ryan Hellier got a bad run off turn number 2? We will wait and see. We have a slow car down on the inside. We shall ignore that one for now. We stay green flag racing. Out of turn number 3, Joshua Baird, looking like he's already got a good run. A little bit of a squabble behind as they cross the line to start lap number 45. Baird to the inside. Baird's going to be looking for the low line. Down he goes. And he's going to leave Ryan Hellier out at high and dry. And in fact, they almost make contact. We have yellow out on the circuit. So another caution number 4 of the day. And we will find out who that one is for, Tom. But until that yellow flag float, absolutely cracking battle between these two drivers.
It was, wasn't it? The number 27 of Ryan Hellier and Joshua Baird in the number 23 car. Fantastic work from them. We see as Franz Josef Stumm has a little bit of a moment there as we're on board with him in the number 134 car. Coming out of turn 3, and it's just those bumps again, and it just seems to be that black line, as you can see down low in turn 3. Just spins the car out, but he managed to stop it before it hit the barrier, so that's good news for him. The caution flag is out now, so if I were him, I would stick it straight into the pit lane, take fuel and tyres and get yourself back out there.
And for one driver, this has come at an absolutely perfect time. The fuel stint here are around 38 laps. Jan Hoffman, 36 laps into his stint, Tom. So the driver currently in 7th position, He's almost been given a blessing, ready to carry on going in this event. So he's going to almost get a free pit stop. He's going to tumble down the order, though.
Yeah, he will tumble down the order, but it's the issue for him is he's not been the quickest on the track at the moment, which tells me that it wasn't fuel that was the issue for him. It was tyres. So he's going to have a lot of work to do to make those places up, but as we say, Jack, he has got a free pit stop now.
And as the drivers round through turn number 3, we're going to step aside here on RaceSpot TV on the iRacing Esports Network for just a few moments, and we will be back ready to bring you round to the green flag.
So, you want to race in NASCAR?
Before you can get on track, you'll need to calibrate your wheel and pedal set. You'll need to do this in iRacing even if you have already done this using your own controller software. Prior to entering the sim, make sure you've downloaded and installed the
June
latest
20th,
drivers.
ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Test. Don't go into a practice or official session. The last thing you want to do is have you go on track and crash into another car. Once you're in your test session, click on the options button. You will then see input calibration. This is where your calibration takes place. Start by clicking on the steering button. You will then be prompted to turn your wheel fully one direction and then another. Make sure you place your wheel back into its centering position before hitting done. Now, you will be asked to turn your wheel 90 degrees to the left. Make sure it's at 90 and hold it there while hitting done. For pedals, click on the pedals button. Here you'll be asked to press the throttle all the way down and then release it. You'll do the same for the brake and clutch pedal if you have one. For the gearbox, you'll first be asked to set buttons for sequential shifting. Once complete, a prompt will ask if you have a H pattern shifter. If not, hit no. If yes, click it and you'll begin to map the gears individually. Once you've completed these steps, you are calibrated and ready to go racing.
As caution period 4 comes to a close, we get ready to go back to green flag racing here at the Pocono Raceway for the classic IndyCar series at the Pocono 500. In just an hour and 5 minutes time, you can find yourself in round 2 of the McLaren Shadow qualifiers. Also on the iRacing Esports Network, Will Vincent and Connery Maddock will be bringing you all the action for that one. And congratulations to Will Vincent, who got married yesterday as the field brings its way around. Some drivers have taken themselves down onto the pit lane, which means that your new leader is going to be Joshua Baird. And through turn number 3, you want to hold that high line, make sure you're on a nice defensive run. Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis on the cameras for you today as the iRacing pace car stays down to the low side. Everyone else stays up to the high side. Riding on board with third place, Matt Cook, the number 46 machine for Aero X. He managed to get pole position. Can he turn that into a race win? Pace car comes down onto the lane. They accelerate. Green flag flies here at Pocono. We're back racing. And Matt Cook, has he got a good enough start to try and get up some position for turn number 1? I know that Joshua Baird has got a cracking start over the driver of Carsten Brodby. Brodby had nothing to answer but for Matt Cook. He's going to get held up into turn number 1.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? So that'll be annoying for him. But as we say, Joshua Baird, fantastic start from him. Carsten Brodby, again, didn't get the best start as they all bunch up in the midfield, as you can see, and fighting hard. And I believe that's 4, not sure what place is that for, probably for 10th place, as they're all fighting hard, coming up the inside. Matt Cook, as we see, he is bunched right up in there at the moment and fighting hard as the drivers behind him are too wide. Coming through turn 3 now is Matt Cook, and he's going to be in the Aero X car, and he's going to be looking down in his mirrors as behind him is the number 1 car, Robert Grosser, who takes the low line now alongside Matt Cook. His engine's screaming all the way up to 10,000 RPM. I dread to think how fast those pistons are moving right now. And Robert Grosser takes Matt Cook there, Jack. So as Matt Cook seems to get a decent run out of turn 1, as they're now 3 wide going down the back stretch, but no, Robert Grosser then moves up into 4th position. A great start from him.
And it looks as though Matt Cook is trying to fight back. Randy Shoemake, his teammate, managed to get past. So Randy Shoemake is currently leading the race so far. Once the 2 drivers ahead of him bring themselves down onto the pit lane at some point in the next 18 lap. Joshua Baird, though, getting the track position and leading the way. You're looking at a side-by-side battle through turn number 3. This looks as though it is between the drivers of Andrew Aitken and one of the 4X racing machines. That's Jos van der Ven. Van der Ven He is a couple of laps down. He's 1 lap down, to be precise. Wasn't able to get the wave around. Andrew Aitken clears him. Andrew Wood is next. Timo Isinyaimi going to get held up, and down to the inside comes Ryan Hellier. So this is what bank markers do, Tom. 50 laps into a 200-lap event. We are 25% of the way into this race. We've had just under an hour. So can we get done before the time limit? That is going to be the interesting question. Currently riding on board with the number 027 of Ryan Hellier. He goes high through turn number 3, and that gives the driver, or one of the Vortex sim racing drivers, that's Timo Isinyaimi, basically a free pass to get past there.
Yeah, it'll be unfortunate for Ryan Hellier there out of turn 3. He got a bit too wide, didn't he? And lost his momentum. He's taken the high line again through turn number 1. So that means that Jan Hoffman seems to be able to capitalise on that. Although Jan Hoffman, as you said before, Jack, he did have the perfect pit stop opportunity. And he doesn't seem to really capitalise on it. He's moving further back down the grid, but he is having a decent drive so far. So interested to see what he can do as we look a little bit further forward. And Timo Isinyaimi seems to have got past Jos van der Ven as well. As you see on your screens now, James Payne up into 13th place in the number 63 car as they all come round for another lap, and everyone seems to be driving quite clean at the moment, Jack. And who's that down pit road? That's Randy Shoemake. He's down pit road, so he will be absolutely kicking himself at the moment. I'm sure we'll get a replay, and here it comes for him there. So he's fighting hard. Oh, he seems to have collected one of the back markers and gets down into pit road, so he will be absolutely fuming with that. He'll be doing a Sebastian Vettel and shouting blue flags down the radio at the team. But unfortunate for him as he was having such a good race there, Jack.
That was the driver of Klaus Peterson, who clearly didn't expect the driver of Randy Shoemake to have such a high pace up the outside. Just closed the door far too fast, and bang, before you knew it, he's in the wall. Another replay up on your screen. You can just see Klaus tracks up high. And well, Randy Shoemake is in the gap between him and the wall. And I must say, Tom, that is a very good pirouette onto pit lane there, because 1, it avoids us having a caution, and 2, he's then pointing the right way.
Yeah, so he'll be happy with that, won't he? Well, he won't be happy with it because he's just done an incident, but it's probably gone the best incident that he could have had. As he now comes back out onto track, so 147 laps to go here. As Jack said, we're about just over a quarter of the way through. The guys fighting hard and really running well here. As we look towards the front, Joshua Baird seems to have pulled out quite a considerable lead now over Matt Cook, but Matt Cook is reeling him in by the lap. As Carsten Brodby chases down Matt Cook to try and claim that second position back, Jack.
If Matt Cook can claim that position back, then he will be back up into the race lead. But looking at it, Joshua Baird, his tyres are around, I'd probably say 18 laps older than those of Matt Cook. On your screen at the moment is the battle for position number, I'm trying to have a look at which one that is. That's your driver, Robert Grosser, currently running in 5th position. He is challenging, that looks like one of the back markers. It's not, it's Andrew Aitken. So Aitken has managed to get past Grosser on this lap, and that's the battle you saw coming through turn 2 that time.
Yeah, so these guys having a fierce battle as well at the moment. Robert Grosser is having a really good race at the moment as he tries to track down the number 27 car of Andrew Aitken. So all the guys, as we can see now, Jack, getting a little bit more relaxed. As we said before this race started, it now is the period where everyone tries to save a little bit of tyre, save a little bit of fuel. So we'll see a little bit of single file racing from now on until I'd say probably about 50 or 60 laps to go, and that's when strategy starts coming in. They fuel them up, whack the engines right up to maxi chat, and then we go proper racing then here at Pocono.
As soon as you pit in the final 35 laps of this event, you will be fine to the end. Of course, running the cautions means that you can either extend your pit strategy or your fuel stint a little bit longer, or you can cut it short. Matt Cook has managed to close the gap for the lead down to 0.2 of a second. Now you can see it right down in the bottom left of your screen. Now going to be focusing on it. Joshua Baird has got to do a lot of work to hold off such a very capable driver in the IndyCars here on iRacing. He's obviously had a break for a couple of years, back for this year, and is mainly running in this series. It's great to see one of the great names back. He's using that outside line, and there you go, there's the fresh tyres coming into play, straight around the outside, and Matt Cook back up into your race lead.
Yeah, I think he's going to, Matt Cook there, I think he's going to be the one to watch, isn't he? He's now going to be extending his lead because he knows he's got fresher tyres than Joshua Baird. And he knows that Joshua Baird doesn't have the capability at the moment to really put any sort of pressure on him. And I think Joshua Baird in that number 23 car, Jack, will be praying for a safety car and a yellow flag now so he can pit in, get a free pit stop and get back out there.
If he has it in the next 8 laps, he will be fine. Other than that, he has to make a green flag pit stop. They are much harder to make. Of course, he has been through a couple of cautions, so should be able to extend his fuel strategy to around lap 40, lap 41. This is one of the longest ovals in the US. It's 4 kilometers long. It's longer than some of the road courses in the US, Tom. So you're going to be using a lot of fuel, especially if you're reaching speeds as Matt Cook is into turn 1 of 350 kilometers an hour.
That's pacing, that is. That's absolutely rapid. So that's just so in Queen's England for you guys at home. That's just a little bit over 200 miles an hour there. They'll be running the low downforce packs for this that you don't see in the road racing side of this. They will be running it for full oval spec. So on board with Andrew Wood now in the number 32 car. He's running in 6th, so he's having a brilliant race at the moment, and he will be tracking down in front of him Robert Grosser, who has a little bit of a look up the inside of the number 35 car, Carsten Brodby there. So he is going well, and then Andrew Wood seems to be capitalising on this, Jack. Let's see what he can do for the next lap.
Yeah, indeed so. He's still riding on board into turn 1. You will be able to see the suspension at work. It's obviously not these IndyCars. They are the IRO5 chassis, the Dallara IRO5, used up until the end of the 2011 season. Of course, rounded itself off at Las Vegas. Down to the inside goes Andrew Wood into turn number 2. Robert Grosser not even going to bother fighting it, and that is the kind of driving where Robert's going to be thinking, I've still got 140 laps of this race to go yet. I don't want to be fighting too hard and using those tyres. I want to know that in 140 laps time, I'm still going to be on the black stuff.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? It's a race of attrition, this is. It's a long endurance race. And as we said before, it's going to come down towards the wire at the end. But as we see out in front, Matt Cook really is capitalising at the moment, isn't he? He looks to be around 2.2 seconds ahead. Sorry, 2.3 seconds now ahead of Joshua Baird. So Joshua Baird is having tyre issues by the look of it, and Matt Cook, he will be smiling from ear to ear in that car, in that number 46 car at the moment. As we see, Jack, even coming through turn 2, he gained 2 tenths there on the second place number 23 car.
Yeah, it just shows that Josh Baird isn't able to take the same pace through the corner, riding on board with Robert Grosser. He's fighting back with Andrew Wood. Mike Gerlicher has just managed to get his way past Ryan Hellier as well for position number 9, but staying with this battle to the inside goes Grosser. He is alongside. Andrew Wood going to take the high line, and I think actually the high line may be starting to rubber up a bit there, Tom, because Andrew Wood looks as though he got a good run off of the first corner there. After around 62 laps, I'd expect that to be the case.
Yeah, it'll be good for them. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a change in the lines that the drivers are taking as the race moves on. As we know, the iRacing service is brilliant, and we get all the changes in track heat, heat and temperature, whether it's being rubbered in and things like that. So we're seeing some fantastic battles on here. But the trouble is with the high line, it seems like a turn 1, Jack, and we've seen it before earlier on in the race, is that it can be the slippery part of the circuit, and also you're going a lot closer to the wall to make a mistake there.
Yeah, you do not want to be very close to that wall, because the wall will bite. It will bite hard here at Pocono. We've seen it to happen to a few drivers already. The drivers of Andrew Wood and Robert Grosser do have a driver ahead of them. That's 4th position, the number 35 of Carsten Brodby. This is actually going to be a passable position if it happens, but they also need to bear in mind that in around 5 laps time, as long as we don't go back to caution, Carsten Brodby is going to start to be thinking about pitting here, Tom, and he's going to have to make a green flag pit stop.
Yeah, it's the same as Joshua Baird in 3rd place, as Andrew Aitken, as we see, seems to have got the move done on him now. So Joshua Baird is really going to have to start, I think he's going to start praying for a pace car and a yellow flag situation here at Pocono. So Andrew Aitken now is going to go down and try and chase down the number 46 of Matt Cook, who's out in front, who's currently got about a 3.5 second lead over the guys behind him. And Joshua Baird, as we see coming out of turn 1, Jack, that car is looking quite squirrely. It looks the same as Danica Patrick's car did in the Indy 500 earlier on this year.
And we know where Danica Patrick ended up because Andrew Aitken has managed to clear himself past Joshua Baird now, the Midwest driver, into turn number 3. No turn 4 here at Pocono. Of course, it is shaped like a triangle, so Baird stays out for one more. This is going to be his 37th lap of his stint. And those tyres are going to start to be getting very worn. You will not want to put them back on the car at the end of this stint, Tom, because they are going to be pretty much on the bead.
Yeah, they are, aren't they? So it flashes me back to Vettel at Bahrain when he was saying, oh, these tyres are done on the radio after he finished the race in first place. We look a little bit further back now, and I think that is Andrew Wood. Takes the low line on Carsten Brodby then in the number 35, and he makes that move very, very clean into turn number 2. Goes, well, really high there actually. On the out, leaving the corner, but manages to make it stick. So Carsten Brodby as well, Jack, looks like he's suffering from tyres as Robert Grosser goes through as well. So Carsten Brodby, he's also going to be getting ready to take that pit stop, and it looks like it might be under green flag situations here.
Brodby's tyres are also 36 laps old. They are some of the oldest tyres out on circuit. I'll lie, actually, that title goes to Sasha Lamp. Although it won't be for much longer. He's just done a 47 lap stint, clearly showing that it's going to be the tyres that, or the fuel that gives way first, and not the tyres here today, Tom.
Yeah, it does seem to be that way, doesn't it? And I think it's because of the uneven surface that we've got here at Pocono that seems to be why the cars are really quite suffering as they get later on in the race. So it doesn't seem to be fuel that's the issue for these guys at the moment. If you see Timo Isanimi, the Finnish driver, has he lost a place there? No, he's back up in the number 33 car, so he is right up behind there of Carsten Brodby, and he needs to make that move count. The further up you are, obviously, the better it is for when you do pit, and it looks like, as we say, Jack, we're getting no yellow flag situations here at Pocono, so these guys are going to have to pit under green flag situations, which they will not want.
No, the green flag pit stops, they're going to be losing a lot of time. It's going to be it's not going to be beneficial for any of these drivers here today. And it's going to be something that at some point we will see. Some of the circuits we haven't seen them currently riding on board, or were riding on board, with the 7th place driver Timo Isanimi for Vortex Sim Racing. He's now piling the pressure onto Carsten Brodby in 35. He's looking out to the outside. Looks as though Brodby is sat slightly lower than himself at the moment. Isanimi looking to the inside. Has Brodby got the grip to manage to close the door? I don't think he does. So it's all going to be about the run off the corner that Timo will get. And it's a good one. He's going to go down to the inside towards turn number 2. At 340 kilometres an hour right now. And he's just got that inside line. Brodby concedes the position.
Yeah, he does. So Timo, the Finnish driver, he's been going really, really strong in the number 33 car. Takes Carsten Brodby there. So Carsten Brodby now is really starting to show that his tyres are getting on the limit. But he does take another lap and still doesn't pit. So there's a lot of drivers there that are absolutely praying for yellow flag conditions here. But Matt Cook still extending his lead at the moment. He's still doing well. He's the young driver there in the number 46 car, driving really well, pulling out a lead against Andrew Aitken and Joshua Baird. And Joshua Baird as well, Jack, still hasn't pitted on those tyres. So him and Sasha Lamp they've gone for a really long stint here.
And well, Henry Bennett as well, just seen a comment in the YouTube chat. He's moving himself up the field too. He's up into 9th position as it stands at the moment. 42 lap old tyres though, so he is going to be currently begging for a caution as Joshua Baird. He's going to concede after 41 laps. He heads his way down onto the pit lane. Henry Bennett, will he stay out? There is a car coming down onto the lane. That is the driver of Randy Krosno. Krosno is 45 laps into a stint, so now we're starting to see what the fuel mileage is going to be like, Tom, throughout this race under green flag conditions, with the odd caution sprinkled in here and there.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult for them, isn't it? Because what do they do now? Do they take a light fuel load? Joshua Baird there, he's seems to be a good stop from him. He's still stopped at the moment, and it's 11.5 second stop. Where he was stopped, his mechanics were working on the car, and it was a 33.7 second time down pit road. So he'll be back out now, and I imagine for him the car's going to feel a lot better, but not really too sure what these guys are now going to run on strategy, Jack, because they have pitted under green flag and they need to capitalise on this now. So Joshua Baird will be being told by his race engineer he really needs to crack on and get himself back up the pack.
And Henry Bennett now also bringing himself down onto pit lane. He needs to make this a nice, good stop. He's going to be losing out for a lot of time at the moment. This is done under green flag. If the caution comes out now, he's lost out even more. He comes to a stop, gets on his marks, absolutely perfect. Up onto the jacks he go. Of course, in IndyCar, 4 tyres and fuel can be done in around 10 seconds. Let's see what his pit stop time is. 11 seconds exactly. Back out and away he goes in the number 007. That bright orange car, you cannot miss it, as Sam Winton now. It's his turn to get past the driver of Jan Hoffman.
Yeah, so Sam Winton going well. We haven't really spoken about him too much. In the number 17 car, Jan Hoffman still falling back. He's coming under pressure now from the 996 car of Vesser Ollier. So those guys are having a little bit of a battle going in towards turn 1 as Vesser goes down the inside. And I think Jan Hoffman has succumbed to the pressure and is now moving further and further back down the grid, Jack, which is where he really doesn't want to be.
No, the further he goes down, the more time he loses out on track. He's going to lose a lot more out on the... He might not lose as much on the pit lane. 128 laps to go. We are approaching the halfway stage in this event. And world top at the moment, Matt Cook looking very comfortable up at the front as Carsten Brodsby now. It's his turn to bring himself down onto pit lane.
Yeah, so he brings himself in, and it's going to be much needed for him. I think the team were waiting out for a caution, but they didn't seem to get it in time, so he stops perfectly on his marks, and he does it's going to be around a 10 or 11 second stop here. He goes a little bit longer actually. It's 11.9 second stop for Carsten Brodsby in the number 35 car. And he spent roughly around 34.1 seconds in the pit lane. So a bit of a longer stop for him there. It looks like they might have gone a little bit of a longer fuel load there, Jack.
And that is what they will need to be able to get to the end of this race nice and successfully. For Matt Cook at the moment, currently looking comfortable, 27.5 laps into his... And he has a 6-second lead over Andrew Aitkins. To have 6 seconds on an oval, Tom, that's not a bad effort at all.
No, he's having a fantastic race, isn't he? And I think now will be the time where he will, like we've seen in F1 from a lot of Ferrari and Mercedes drivers this season, where they'll whack the engine right up at the start and then try and save their tyres. As you see the 996 there, nearly going into the wall, so that was a bit of a heart in mouth moment for him there. But no, as we've seen, these guys need to just make sure, as we see on board with the number 996, we see he comes up, and that was very close to the wall there. That was a moment that could have really ended his race. You see Vesser Ollier, he's going really, really well at the moment in ninth. As we go to yellow flag conditions here at Pocono, so unfortunate for them.
We have, by the looks of it, there was a slow motion shot of Vesser Ollier. Back to yellow flag running. Replay up on your screen. Let's find out what happened to Marshall Stanley in the number 36. Just loses it out at turn number 2. And hard into that inside wall. Stops dead. In fact, for him, it just loses it up the rear end. I wonder whether that's a little bit of coltage. You can see some damage on the left-hand side. And I think for Marshall Stanley, that's now day over.
Yeah, I think it will be, won't it? They'll be getting the truck out now and getting the car back down to pit road. But that was a very hard shunt for him there. He would have pulled a lot of G's. He went into the wall, but that wouldn't have done the car any good at all. But as we say, Jack, he had a little bit of damage on the left side pod, so I don't know whether that's affected downforce for him. But Matt Cook now, he'll be upset about that because now he's got all that work to do again.
It almost certainly would have done. Matt Cook picks up the iRacing pace car out of turn number 1. We are going to step aside once again here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network as we go into caution period number 5, and we will be back ready for the drop of the green flag.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to 0. I just wanna be a superhero. So start ignition, count to 0.
Team racing allows multiple iRacing members to team up and race together, just like in real-world endurance series. Teammates can share driving duties, spot for one another, or be a crew chief. Team racing is free, both to join a team and to create one. Each teammate races on his or her own computer from wherever they want to. Your teammates can be anywhere in the world, and changing drivers mid-race is as easy as a click of a button. iRacing features team endurance events ranging from just a couple of hours to 24 hours in length. So, if you fancy taking part in an iRacing endurance race in the future, you can learn more about team racing on the teams page on the member website.
Caution number 5 here at Pocono Raceway, deep into Pennsylvania in the United States of America. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network for round number 8 of the Classic IndyCar Series, boosted by Logical from Pocono, the 500-mile race, their one 500-mile race of the season. And one driver, Tom, is laughing after that pit stops because his strategy of pitting under the green flag has meant that he's back into the race lead, and that is Joshua Baird.
Yeah, he's going to be very happy with that, isn't he? So we said that him pitting under green flag conditions would be a hindrance for him, but it doesn't seem to have been. It's been perfect for him, really. But the only problem is now he's got Matt Cook behind him and Andrew Aitken, and we know how fast these boys are around here.
And of course, looking forward to the rest of the season. This is round number 8 of the series. In just 2 weeks' time, we'll be heading ourselves to Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course for 84 laps. And then our final oval of the championship will be coming 3 weeks later from Chicagoland for the Delphi Indy 300. And after that, 2 more road courses to go before the end of the season. We're going to Silverstone, we're going to the United Kingdom for 60 laps of the historical Grand Prix circuit, and then rounding it all off down under at Phillip Island for the final round of the championship to decide who will take away the glory of being able to say that they've actually managed to beat Robert Grosser to a championship win in the Classic IndyCar Series. It's not very often that they can say they've done that. Looking at the championship standings so far this season Henry Bennett has a 131 point advantage over Hans Pitkinen in second position. Joshua Baird currently leading the championship standings, actually up on the left hand side of your screen at the moment. You can see Henry Bennett demanding lead. Lights are off on the pace car, so we'll be back to green flag racing this time. Pace car goes down low, all the drivers stay up to the high side through turn number 3. Getting as close to that wall, the safer barrier introduced around 10-15 years ago to make it safer for drivers. Joshua Baird, though, darting to the inside. Is he going for a different strategy? The pace car comes off of it, off onto pit lane. Joshua Baird gets onto the loud pedal and off he goes. We're back to green flag racing. You're riding on board with Andrew Wood. At the moment, he's currently running in 4th position. Josh Baird, very defensive down to the inside. Some things doesn't look too right here, Tom.
Yeah, that was a strange move from him because that's going to have scrubbed off a lot of speed as he takes the high line coming out of turn 1. As Matt Cook takes the high line and crosses back through, and he looks like he's done it here. So Joshua Baird, I'm not sure what he was thinking of. I think he was trying to take a more defensive line, but it really seemed to upset the car, and he lost all that momentum that he gained because he got a cracking start there, and Matt Cook has now taken the lead. So Joshua Baird is now being backed into Andrew Aitken, so I'm not sure whether Joshua Baird, I doubt he's got a problem. The car's been running well all day, but it got a little bit out of shape there again coming out of turn 3, and he's being backed into number 27 of Andrew Aitken now, Jack.
Could just be the cold tyres that these cars will have after that caution period. Looking from an aerial shot of Matt Cook, your current race leader, he didn't even need a full lap to get back into the race lead. 121 laps remaining. We are on for a race finish in the next hour and a half, 2 hours or so. So make sure you are getting comfortable because it's going to be an exciting remaining 120 laps to this event. Andrew Aitken now piling on the pressure as 3 cars go 3 wide into turn number 2. That is Klaus Peterson, Jons van der Ven and Mike Gerlicher by the looks of it. And that was a very exciting battle. This is the mid-pack. The mid-pack you always have to watch in the Classic IndyCar Series, Tom, because they can provide some of the best racing.
Yeah, they can do, can't they? We see it across single-seater racing all across the world. We see that the midfield pack can provide some of the most exciting racing around. But these guys going toe-to-toe at the moment. As we look down into turn 1, it looks like Jan Hoffman there is coming under quite a bit of pressure from the guys behind him, so he's going to have to really capitalise, because as we've seen, Jack, he is doing really well this season, but going up the inside of Jan Hoffman at the moment does seem to be Sam Winton in the number 17 car, and he makes that stick, so not sure if the Thrustmaster sponsored car of Jan Hoffman there is suffering with tyres later on into the race.
Jan Hoffman, I'd be surprised if he's struggling on tyres, Tom. His tyres are only 5 laps old. The oldest tyres out on the circuit at the moment is Todd Novsad. He's running right down in 18th position towards the rear of the field. He's been on these tyres for 35 laps now. Not sure why he didn't come down into the pit lane last time around. Maybe he's hoping for another caution. Trying to pull off a bit of a strategy. You're currently looking at a battle in the mid-pack. This is coming through turn number 1 on the exit of turn number 1. One of the drivers fighting through Randy Crosno. He is a lap down. So Randy Crosno obviously trying to get back some time.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? He's trying to fight his way back through the pack. As you see these guys go too wide, the number 74 and the number, I think that's the number 45 there, as he goes way out. Oh, and he's hit the barrier there. That was the number, and we've gone on to yellow flag conditions here at Pocono. So seems to be a little bit of a silly mistake. And then someone there, I'm not quite sure who it was, we'll have to get a replay. Here it comes back up on your screen. So it was Jonathan Diggs in the number 45 car. Got a little bit of a tap there, ended up in the wall in that beautiful Golf liveried car. And who's that stopped on the back straight? So that's Klaus Peterson. He had stopped on the back stretch there, coming out of turn 2. As we look back at the number 96 car to see what happened. And yeah, it's just the same story again, Jack. A little bit too much throttle, a little bit too wide, and into the wall he went.
Yeah, it's not a great combination when you have that happen to you, especially at this point in the race. We aren't halfway. You are going to be doing a lot of work to get that time back. So Mac, once again, your race leader will be picking up your iRacing pace car. For Carsten Brovy, this came at a great time. He's managed to make his pit stop. He's currently on lap number 40. Oh no, I think my timing screen's going a bit wonky actually, so just bear with me while they decide to update themselves, Tom. But so far we are on to caution number 6 of this race now, I believe, and approaching the 250 mile stage.
Yeah, not as many cautions I thought we'd have at this stage actually. As we've seen from a lot of other races, yellows do breed yellows, but that doesn't really seem to have been the case apart from early on in the race. Here at Pocono, as you see on your screens there, that is the number 32 of Andrew Wood, and he's having a really good race here today, fighting hard with the opposition, and he's making good championship chances for himself and moving himself further up the field at any opportunity he can get. But we've really got our power 5. So your top 5 now is Matt Cook, Andrew Aitken, Andrew Wood, Robert Grosser and Joshua Baird. So Joshua Baird, Jack, has slipped down into 5th place after it seemed to be that costly sort of decision at the start there.
Yeah, he did not get the restart that he needed last time around. Clearly his strategy called to go, right, I'm going to pit under green flag and hope for a caution, because everyone else is going to bring themselves down onto the lane. Clearly did not pay off. The driver you're currently looking at is the driver of Andrew Wood. He is running in 3rd position, currently sitting on the podium as it stands, Tom. That's a nice, comfortable place to be in. If you can hold up at the front of this pack, as quite a lot of the rear of your field actually bring themselves down onto the pit lane, the drivers who have been out for a long time on these set of tyres on this tank of fuel. But if you can hold a nice front position here, up in sort of the top 5, top 7, you're in a good standing for those final 20-30 laps.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? But as we say, it all comes down to fuel at the end of the day. It really is a struggle for strategy, and a lot of people think that oval racing is, you just turn left and you just turn left or right constantly, but it really isn't. There's a lot of strategy that comes into play with it, and it can really produce some of the best single-seater and stock car racing with NASCAR and things like that you can get around.
Yeah, and it's a different philosophy of racing on an oval. Obviously, these drivers in IndyCar, they do have to perfect both styles of racing. or if your name is Ed Carpenter Racing, you actually have two drivers. You have Ed Carpenter himself, who does the ovals, and Jordan King, the young Brit, who is doing all the road courses for them this year, Tom. So some of the teams actually going, right, we're going to get specialists for each kind of course to make sure that we can maximise our team's points.
Yeah, it's something you don't really see outside of the US, happening in the US and racing series inside the US. It's a difficult decision to make. You certainly wouldn't see it in F1 or British touring cars or anything like that. Depending on what track they go, they pick what driver they have. But yeah, the pace lights, as we can see, still on the pace car, so the light's still running. So we will be going for another lap here at Pocono. Looking through the field, everyone seems to be shaping up nicely. No one seemed to take tyres or fuel this time round, so these guys will be getting ready. They know that the green flag situation is coming soon, so they'll be starting to whack the engines up a little bit. They'll be looking at their fuel mixes, speaking to their engineers and seeing how long they've got on these fuel stints.
And of course, it must be noted as well, some of the drivers who in this series are from Europe. They're from a different part of the world where oval racing is massively popular. Of course, it's a big thing in America. Just a few oval tracks in Europe. There is one in the UK at the moment, which is Rockingham. It did play host to the British Touring Car Championship this weekend, if I remember correctly. And also there was one in Germany, played host to DTM rounds once upon a time. The Lauschring, we do have a European NASCAR series. They do make a trip to the UK, where myself and Mr. Jacobs are from, but they go to Brands Hatch and not the circuit of Rockingham. Rockingham was actually proposed for an IndyCar race once upon a time, Tom, but unfortunately it never actually came about.
Yeah, it's literally just up the road from me, in Northamptonshire, UK. And if you do go there, I'd go there quite a few times for track days and things. The problem that we see is that the other side of the oval seems to be quite run down. So unfortunately, that's been a bit laid to waste. But the circuit itself is still in tip-top condition as it hosts as we said, the British Touring Car Championship this weekend. But yeah, it's a decent circuit. It would be nice if we got it on the iRacing service, as it's so local to me and Jack. But looking on board now then, with Joshua Baird and his fantastic VR camera. He's currently laying in 5th position, so he's not where he really wanted to be here, Jack. He didn't really get the best start, as we said, but he's going to want to capitalise on the number 1 of Robert Grosser and move himself up into 3rd place if he can also catch Andrew Wood in the number 32.
And well, I'm actually going to correct myself just a little bit. They have had two, back when kart was a thing in the early 2000s, that would have been when I was a little babby. There was an event at Rockingham 500 did happen for 2 years. Dario Franchitti was one of the winners. We will be bringing ourselves back to green flag racing this time. You can see side by side with Joshua Baird's VR camera. Back to green we go. Matt Cook leading the way. Nice start for him on board with Joshua Baird. You can see he's got out of the draft actually there, Tom. So a slightly different strategy, trying to maybe see if he can get down the inside into turn number 1.
Yeah, there's an interesting strategy. He likes that inside line, doesn't he? In the number 23 car, Joshua Baird. The car might be running a little bit hot. Obviously, with these engines not going at full race pace, they're not getting the full amount of air that they need. Although one thing I do want to notice is Andrew Wood didn't appear to have the best start. He sort of lagged a little bit. The car bogged down as he tried to pull away. As we see, he's now coming under pressure from Robert Grosser, who's got quite a good launch out on turn number 3. Then again, so did Andrew Wood as well. So these guys now rolling up in single file and pushing hard now. Robert Grosser only 0.2 of a second behind the number 32 of Andrew Wood, and looking to capitalise and get himself on the podium, Jack.
Let's see what Mr. Grosser can do. The German air traffic controller by day, and then a serial IndyCar driver on the iRacing service by night. Also runs this series, one of the 2 guys behind this series. The other one is Lucas Severe. We were going to try and have a chat to him earlier on, but he had a few technical difficulties which stopped us. Andrew Wood still leading the way in this battle for position number 3 at the moment. You can see the different lines through turn number 3 there, Tom. A very wide angle shot as well. You can see a lot of cars coming through turn number 3. Also shows how large this circuit is as we go and focus our attention on the driver of Franz Josef Sturm.
Yeah, looking at him back there as he comes out of turn number 3, coming under pressure from Caleb Weekly in the number 12 car. Sorry, it's Franz is putting pressure on him as they come round into turn 1. And I've got to say, Franz's car does look absolutely brilliant, doesn't it, in that Golf livery. Coming down the back stretch now, there's a little bit of moving high, moving low, moving left and right. These guys really trying to capitalise, but they don't want to scrub off too much of their speed as we go on board now. Sorry, it was Jonathan Diggs in the golf coloured car, the number 45, and as we can see, Jack, he's got a little bit of front wing damage there.
He does indeed, and that's not something you want to be picking up straight away in this event. Front wing damage means that you will have slightly less aero. It's a very aero-dependent circuit. Must also be pointed out that no one has been able to beat Randy Shoemake's fastest lap time, Tom, for 43.155. This either shows of the pack racing that we're getting today, or the fact that the track is slowing down as it gets more and more rubber laid onto that surface.
Yeah, the more rubber we seem to get on iRacing when we are racing, the slower the circuit seems to get. We see that a lot in road stuff. Jack and I both do. But it seems to be playing a part in oval here. Looking back at the Jonathan Diggs car, he's still maintaining that gap now to Todd Novosad in the number 34 car. So he seems to be maintaining that gap and having a really good run. As we see there, we've got Stum is looking up the inside, but doesn't really get the best run out of turn number 3, but we see Todd now going up the inside of Jonathan Diggs. Can he make it capitalise? Jonathan Diggs takes the high line now into turn number 1, and he's looking, he manages to keep it out of the wall, which is good for him. But now, as we see, Jonathan Diggs is coming under a lot of pressure from the guys behind him, and a fierce battle starting to appear here, Jack.
Yeah, the battle in the mid-pack's always one that you have to watch out for very, very closely, because the mid-pack is where everything usually does happen here in the Classic IndyCar Series. The front pack will extend themselves out just a little bit more, make sure they're in a nice position just to, if a caution comes out, they won't lose too much time, or they don't want to damage their cars. In the mid-pack, it's a little bit more, yeah, let's go for it, come on, points or nothing here in this. It's sometimes a strategy of that, sometimes it's again the same strategy, just wanting to keep it nice and calm as they head through turn number 1. Mike Gerlicher down to the inside, the number 31, as Timo Yami gets himself past the driver of Joshua Baird through turn number 2. We'll keep our eyes on this battle for now, as Mike Gerlicher into turn number 2. He is a lap down on the drivers ahead of him, so he's not too much of a worry. But for Franz Josef Stum, he wants to get past Todd Novosad as quickly as possible. This might be his opportunity. Novosad goes very high through 3. And can Franz Josef Stum get the run he needs? He can't. He's going to have to duck back into the draft. Can he get over quick enough before he makes contact with Mike Gerlicher as they come down into turn number 1? Starting lap number 93. Here at Pocono, getting ever closer to that halfway stage. All the drivers seem to have settled down now into that nice rhythm. As I say that, Jonathan Diggs gets sideways. Oh, not Jonathan Diggs, it's the driver of Todd Novosad. Looks like he get very loose out of turn number 1.
Yeah, he was very, very lucky there, wasn't he? Coming out of turn 1, I saw that on my camera, on my screen here, in the broadcast booth. He was well out of shape there and managed to keep the drivers behind him at bay, which is good driving from him. This is an absolutely fierce battle, as we see at the moment. Josef Stum takes the same line again and takes himself out of the draft, takes a very defensive line. He is way low on the circuit there as they come into turn 1 now. Francis Stum is coming under pressure from Carsten Brodby as well, and Francis on board with him now, and he concedes the position. So maybe there, Jack, taking that low line into turn 1, as we saw with Joshua Baird earlier on in the race, really isn't where you want to be.
We have a slow car down on the inside. That's Caleb Weekly. He's lost out, dropping to 18th position. So for that pack, they have got another position for themselves. A little bit more points if they can hold on to it. Still a long way to go in this event. Looking at our time limit, currently sitting at around 2 hours and 20 minutes to go. So I think we're going to be nice and comfortable. If this was a normal Classic IndyCar Series race, Tom, we'd be pretty much near the end of it now. We haven't even got halfway. This is a serious race of endurance for these drivers.
It is, yeah. I can imagine they're quite hot and sweaty in those cars at the moment. It's a long race of endurance for them, as we see there. Someone getting up a little bit up into the wall. And we're on back. That was Ryan Hellier. I don't know whether there was a little bit of the iRacing service causing that, but he was quite close to the wall there. As he's coming up on the number 63 car there and pushing very, very hard as we go to yellow flag situation here at Pocono. So all the drivers will be slowing down, and we've got someone, Hans Pitcairn, sorry. He is in the wall as we go back to the replay, coming out of turn 3, and he just hits the wall again, and it sends the car around. He did quite well to hold it, although I think he would have probably, although he did end up in the wall at the end, and he loses his front wing, but I think he would have rather have spun down the pit lane so he can get down there without having to do another lap, Jack.
Yeah, it just looks as though he recovered the car and then lost it again. So for Hans Pitcairn, causing caution number 7 here at Pocono. Actually, I think that might have been caused by a little bit too much power there, Tom, and the grip once again not being there to compensate. So the driver's back to yellow flag conditions. This will mean that they can just regain some fuel, make sure that they've got some fuel in the balance. They've been going for a fair few laps now, Tom. We are going to go past the halfway stage under this caution period.
Yeah, so now they'll be thinking to themselves, especially for the front runners, this is where it really starts to come into play now for them. And the race only really starts for them at the halfway point, because that's when strategy can come into it, so that they've got the best strategy to be on towards the end of the race. So Matt Cook still leading from Andrew Aitken and Andrew Wood. Robert Grosser down there in the number 1 car, ahead of the Finnish driver of Timo Isanimi in the number 33, rounds out the top 5. So interested to see here, Jack, who's going to take tyres and who's going to take fuel.
And currently your retirees so far this race, looks as though that they are going to be Klaus Peterson, Marshall Stanley, Matt Molnar and Lucas Seville. Just 4 drivers have dropped out. Davis Costello did not take the start. And then, of course, if you remember all the way back to just an hour and 40 minutes ago, you'll remember, if those of you who are just joining and wondering why there's across the ticker at the top, why it says CIS pace car, well, this race had a bit of a different starting procedure as your top 8 are up on screen. Tom has just gone through your top 5. Joshua Baird in 6th, Sam Winton 7th and Jan Hoffman in 8th, as everyone decides to come down onto the pit lane this time to get themselves a service. But as I was saying, this race had a bit of a different starting procedure, a 3-wide starting procedure, one that we usually see at Indianapolis, but is being used here today at Pocono. There are drivers who have carried on, one of which is going to be Randy Shoemake. So Randy Shoemake is going to be retaking the lead of the race, and in fact, I don't think he is. I think it's actually going to be Andrew Wood. So Andrew Wood, no, he's in the pit lane, but he missed his pit stall. So Matt Cook, currently looking back from him, he's at a bit of an angle in his pit stall, but he's out and away. First driver out, nice and controlled, leaving the pit lane. You can just see the race there, nearly 3 wide, further behind. And well, Tom, that just shows you that it's not about the drivers on the track, it's also about the pit crews in the pit lane.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? And we see it all across motorsport, all across the world. If these guys can get that car out as quickly as they can, then the drivers can capitalise on that. So unfortunately for Andrew Wood there, missed his pit box. So that's cost him probably half a second to a second out on track. But at the moment, with Randy Shoemake is back out in first position, as he did not pit. So as we said, Jack, if you take the right strategy, it can all still play into your hands, because it wasn't long ago he was spinning down the pit lane.
No, it wasn't, and he's back, managed to get it back out in the lead. I think that is certainly a strategy call, because it means that the driver of Randy is back on. Oh no, he's already back on the lead lap. It's his teammate. I'm getting confused between the Randys. We've got Randy Shoemaker and Randy Krosno out on track today. Krosno is the one who's lap behind, who's a lap down, who's also had an incident. So Aero X, they are having their fair share of issues today, but they are seeming to be able to get their way through it. Should be one more lap behind the pace car. We'll be back to green flag racing after caution number, I believe this is caution number 7, Tom.
Yeah, so we've had, the cautions are starting to build up now. As you said, from a normal race, we'd normally be near the end now. But we've still got 103 laps to go. As someone else, a couple of other drivers come down into the pit lane. So they didn't capitalise on their first time round where they could have pitted, which is interesting from them, as they're going to be going for, as we look, that we're probably going to be going for a green flag racing this time round. So Randy Shoemake has got it all to play for now. He was quite far down the pack, and now he's back up. And Franz Josef Stumm as well and Carsten Brodby are all first, second and third. So those guys are going to be grinning from ear to ear in those helmets in their cars, because this caution flag seems to have played right into their hands, Jack.
And well, what those drivers also have to remember is that they will be on 14-lap-old tyres. So Randy Shoemaker will be 15-lap-old tyres by the time they bring themselves round to take the green flag. Matt Cook, well, they're still fresh. They've still got the stickers on. Brand new tyres on that number 46, so expect to see an absolutely rapid Matt Cook making his way up through the field. And I have a feeling that throughout this first 100 laps, Tom, Matt Cook hasn't actually dropped outside of the top 5 yet.
No, he hasn't, has he? Which is brilliant driving for him. He seems to be, if you're going to put your bets on, then he would be the one that I would bet for to win this race at the moment. But as there is still a long way to go, and these guys, you know, it really is a race of attrition, as I said earlier, and it's a long one. It's a long part of endurance, and Pocono does deliver some of the best racing we see on the iRacing service.
It does indeed. The pace car going to be running itself through turn number 3 in just a moment's time, and Randy Shoemake will be under the control of the field as the pace car heads down to the low side and everyone else stays up high. Franz-Josef Stumm, wait, you haven't got the green flag just yet. He was looking a little bit eager, holding a constant speed of 120 kilometers an hour, rounding through that final corner here at Pocono. In fact, actually, Franz-Josef Stumm looks like he wants to try and make up a few positions as pace car dives down onto the lane. We're back to green flag racing, and Randy Shoemaker's got a good start. Franz-Josef Stumm wasn't able to capitalise. Carsten Brodby is going to be piling on the pressure for second position, though. Matt Cook, a slow restart from him. 101 laps to go here at Pocono. Brodby looking up high, wasn't able to get the move done. Can he get the undercut? The undercut isn't as prolific here on ovals. Franz-Josef Stumm nearly having a moment there, Tom, but nice clean start by everyone. Bit of overtaking a little bit further behind. Andrew Wood looking like he's getting himself past Timo Sinyemi, and Jan Hoffman looking like he's getting back past the driver of Joshua Baird.
Yeah, it's a good start from everyone there, but the one I'm looking at the moment is number 46 of Matt Cook. Those tyres are extremely fresh on that car, and he is going to be able to capitalise as Carsten Brodby goes up low against Franz-Josef Stumm in the 134 car, and it looks like he's managed to get that move done up into second place. But look at the power that Matt Cook's got coming off these corners. He really is up to the top 3 at the moment, but Randy Shoemake, Jack, a brilliant start from him as Matt Cook goes up the inside now of Franz-Josef Stumm in the number 134. He may even go 3 wide here, and he may get 2 cars going into turn number 2. He's got Franz-Josef Stumm done and Carsten Brodby in one corner, so a brilliant move there by him, and he moves up into second place. Although Carsten Brodby has got the slipstream, but he hasn't got the tyres. So Matt Cook will now be absolutely chasing down the number 3 car of Randy Shoemake to take the lead again.
And Andrew Aitken looks like he wants to do a similar thing. He was only able to get past Franz-Josef Stumm in turn number 3. There's also another driver getting himself past Franz, and that is going to be Robert Grosser in the number 1 Logical Vortex machine. So for Andrew Aitken, he's looking to get himself past the driver of Carsten Brodby, but for Matt Cook and Randy Shoemake, those two are going to be doing extremely well up at the front. Aero X back to 1-2. Can Andrew Aitken make himself up onto the podium for Carsten Brodby? You do not want to touch that curb too hard on the inside of turn number 2. That can very easily unsettle the car. Aitken looking down low into turn number 3. Is Carsten Brodby going to shut the door? He is, so they're both going to run that slightly higher line. This could bring it back into factor for Robert Grosser. It's not going to, because Robert Grosser has indeed got past the driver of Franz-Josef Stumm. So is Andrew Wood. So Josef Stumm is dropping through the field, still running on board with the number 27. Using that inside line, using that superior grip over the German of Brodby. Brodby is fighting back though, Tom. So they head down into turn 2 once again. Yeah, he's fighting back, isn't he? I'll tell you what, he has absolutely come alive after that caution flag period there. He is fighting hard, and we haven't seen this from him all race so far. He's holding off on Andrew Aitken as we look. Robert Grosser now has got a fantastic run out of turn 2, but backs off a little bit, takes the low line through turn 3. Carsten Brodby goes a little bit high, right up against the wall. Andrew Aitken now got a brilliant run out of turn 3 there, managed to get all the grip, and he is up alongside Carsten Brodby in the number 35 car, and the German is really he's going to have to fight into turn 1, but it looks like he has conceded the position to Andrew Aitken as Robert Grosser now coming under pressure from Andrew Wood, and Andrew Wood goes up the inside, so these boys all fighting for that elusive 3rd position there. They're going down the back straight in a diamond formation, and as we see, Andrew Wood really putting the pressure on a Carsten Brodby. Brodby goes off. Brodby's off onto the grass, and that's a massive shunt. He is into the wall, and he will be kicking himself there. That one has got to hurt. As we go back to the replay then,
So he was having a brilliant run and defending really well and just clipped the wall so slightly, and it just sent the car skyward and straight into the wall. So he's going to be bitterly disappointed with that, Jack.
Yeah, we have stayed under green flag racing. Nice call by Carsten Brolby to take the tow almost immediately as he stopped. So he is now out of the equation. Andrew Aitken, Andrew Wood, Robert Grosser all running third, fourth and fifth as it stands. Grosser not been able to keep up with Andrew Wood so far at the moment. Henry Bennett getting himself past Joshua Baird. So Bennett, even though he's had the issues at the start of this race, as we now into the second half of this event, Tom, he's moving himself up through the field.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? And I'll tell you what, who else to look out for is Jan Hoffman as well. He is fighting well. He was having a brilliant fight with Joshua Baird in the number 23 and Franz Josef Stumm, and he's got himself up into 7th place. And he'll be tracking down the number 33 car of Timo Isanemi at the moment. So the young Finn, and we're on board with Henry Bennett now as he looks at the rear end and the gearbox of Franz Josef Stumm, and he's got a good run. Goes low now on the young German that owned the number 134, and can he make it capitalise? Yes, he can. So Franz Josef Stumm lets the position go to the number 007 car of Henry Bennett. And yeah, brilliant racing for these guys so far, Jack. They all seem to have come alive after this yellow flag period.
Yeah, they have indeed. As Henry Bennett, you're looking back, you can see the pack of cars behind. Looks as though Sam Winton now wants to take advantage of Franz Josef Stumm. He is going to be the next one to target that driver. And down to turn number 1 once again. Vessi Ollier looking like he also wants to challenge on this one, so this is a three-way battle for the final position in your top 10. And Josef Stumm maybe has found a place where he can be a very similar pace to the cars ahead, or maybe not. Down to the inside goes Winton. Can he get the move done? I'm not sure whether he can. He's going to track back out wide. And Vessi Ollier is going to follow him. They're currently, it's like being on rails, Tom, watching two drivers on exactly the same line. Coming through turn number 3, you want to keep it inside and then start to track out high once again, getting on the power, using this very long straight to your advantage. Was it too early for Sam Winton as he heads down to the inside? I think he might have got the move done on Franz Josef Stumm. So Stumm now down to P number 11 as they head into turn number 1. Vessi Ollier, can he actually advantage himself off of the fact that Franz Josef Stumm had a high line? I'm not sure whether he can, because Stumm is looking to try and get back past Sam Winton.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? So he's tucked up right behind him, and every which way move that Sam Winton does, he is always there with him. As we see now, we see Vessi Ollier in the number 996 looking up the inside of turn 3, and this is a risky move if he sticks there, but Franz Josef Stumm is looking back in his mirrors, and he doesn't seem to make that position, does the Finnish driver, and the number 996. But coming back, Randy Krosno now, what a run from him. Takes the low line now up against the number 996. He's in the number 74 car as they go into turn 1, and he gets that position made as well. So we're seeing at the moment, Jack, a lot of the quicker drivers seem to have got their strategies right and are moving forward through the field. And
that's what, especially for Randy Krosno, he wants to get as many points from this race now. It's not going to be a race that he can win, I do not think. Currently 9.5 seconds down on your leader, but for himself as he makes a mistake. Here comes Vessi Ollier down to the inside into 3. Randy Krosno looks at making it 3 wide on Franz Josef Stumm. Stumm going to close the door on both of them, so they both have to jump out of the power. Whoa! Very close to an incident out of turn number 3. As Randy Krosno moves across the circuit trying to get past Vessi Ollier, and on the inside there was the 996. There is a car. We are back to caution. There's a car stopped on pit exit, Tom. Not sure who that was, but I'm sure we will get a replay before long.
Yeah, we'll get a replay of that, but that was absolutely brilliant racing from the guys on the track there. So Jonathan Diggs here, and he's come out of pit road and has just stopped. So I'm not sure what's gone on there. I don't know whether he hasn't taken fuel. Not really too sure there, but as we see, he came up the pits and stopped. So whether, I don't know, not sure.
A very weird incident, that one, but for Matt Cook, he's going to re-pick up the iRacing pace car this time around. We're going to step aside for a few moments here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. We will be back for the drop of the green flag for the remaining part of this Pocono 500. Just 19 laps remain here at the Pocono Raceway. Go and get yourself some more beverages, because it's going to be about another hour and a half before we see the drop of the checkered flag.
Before you can get on track, you'll need to calibrate your wheel and pedal set. You'll need to do this in iRacing even if you have already done this using your own controller software. Prior to entering the sim, make sure you've downloaded and installed the latest drivers from the manufacturer's website. Once that's done, follow these easy steps to calibrate your controller. We recommend calibrating in a test session, so pick a car and then click test. Don't go into a practice or official session. The last thing you want to do is have you go on track and crash into another car. Once you're in your test session, click on the options button. You will then see input calibration. This is where your calibration takes place. Start by clicking on the steering button. You will then be prompted to turn your wheel fully one direction and then another. Make sure you place your wheel back into its centering position before hitting done. Now, you'll be asked to turn your wheel 90 degrees to the left. Make sure it's at 90 and hold it there while hitting done. For pedals, click on the pedals button. Here you'll be asked to press the throttle all the way down and then release it. You'll do the same for the brake and clutch pedal if you have one. For the gearbox, you'll first be asked to set buttons for sequential shifting. Once complete, a prompt will ask if you have a H pattern shifter. If not, hit no. If yes, click it and you'll begin to map the gears individually. Once you've completed these steps, you are calibrated and ready to go racing.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to zero. I just wanna be a superhero. So start ignition, count to zero. I just wanna be a superhero.
Another caution is about to come to a close here at Pocono. Matt Cook has brought himself down onto the pit lane. A strategy call that means he has dropped down to 4th. Andrew Wood will be our new race leader as we head back to Green Flag Racing. I am Jack Stiles. Alongside me is Mr. Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis on the cameras. And Tom, after 113 laps of racing, how are you feeling?
Excited actually. There was a bit of a lull, wasn't there, from about lap 150 all the way up to about lap 100, and then we had that caution flag there, and then it all just went a bit berserk, didn't it? We all got very excited in the commentary booth here at RaceBot TV, and it's fantastic racing.
And of course, in just a couple of moments' time, the second round of the McLaren Shadow qualifiers will be starting on the iRacing Esports Network. Join Will Vincent and Conor Maddock for all the action with that one. And well, if after the next 87 laps of racing you aren't already bored of Pocono, you can have some more. The Indy Elite Series is going to be here from 11 p.m. GMT. You could join Randy Chenworth and Lorenzo Bodner for all the action as your field rounds itself through turn number 2 for lap number 113. We will go back to Green Flag Racing this time as the pace car pulls itself down onto the inside. Andrew Wood pulls himself up high, up against that wall through turn number 3. And behind him, he has the charging Robert Grosser, the number 1, the defending champion. If you want to beat anyone in this series, it's him, and someone this year will be able to take away the glory of saying that they've been able to beat Robert Grosser. Pace car dives its way down onto pit lane, back to green flag racing. Andrew Wood, a good jump. Sam Winton, very squirrely. We're riding on board with him now. Very close to being a victim of the 9,000 RPM kill switch. And for Matt Cook, he is in an absolute gaggle of traffic. 2 wide ahead, 2 wide behind. And all he has to do is try and work his way through the field. Randy Shoemaker's going to get very held up by one of the drivers. That's going to hold up Andrew Aitken. That's going to, in turn, hold up the driver of Jan Hoffman. There was very almost an incident through turn number 1 there, Tom.
There was, wasn't there? They were all bunched up coming out of turn 1. It all got very exciting. I was expecting us to go to another caution period here at Pocono. But no, Matt Cook now really pushing hard at the moment. He's right on the rear wing of the car in front. And looks like he's going to get a good launch out of turn 1 as he takes the lower line now. Dips out of the slipstream as they come across the line. And he is absolutely on the inside. Can he make this stick? I think he can. Yes, he has done. So now he's going to be chasing down the number 17 of Sam Winton.
Sam Winton, he managed to use his strategy to his advantage as Henry Bennett is moving his way up the order once again. He's now up into 7th position, but for Sam Winton, strategy has meant that he is currently in position number 3, although Matt Cook, he is hard charging on fresh tyres, just 4 laps old at the conclusion of this one, 350 kilometres an hour into turn number 3. And, well, Tom, actually, we think that turn number 3 is the slowest corner on the circuit. You're still doing 200 miles an hour on corner entry.
Yeah, you are, aren't you? Which is quite a scary proposition. You see the boys now go 3 wide then into turn 1, looking back left on Matt Cook's car. He's got the high line, so he's going the long way round, but he's still fighting for that position. I think he's going to make it stick over the number 17 car. Number 17 car there, who looks to be one of the. No, it's Sam Winton. Sorry. So he's got the position done on Sam Winton, and these boys are all still fighting for position. Looking back now, we are looking at the number 27 of Andrew Aitken, and he's getting involved as well as they come through turn 3. A lot of bumps on this circuit. You don't want to get too high and get too early on the power. He's in there with the number 3 of Randy Shoemaker as well. We've got to say, Jack, he's doing really, really well after his initial incident. So these boys really taking the fight to it now with 84 laps to go here at Pocono. Number 007 car of Henry Bennett as well. He is fighting hard and making his way up through the field as they all settle down a little bit, going down the back straight and back into single file racing.
And for Henry Bennett, he's trying to do the damage limitation race. He started up at the front of your field, had an incident, he's back up into the front of your field. Joshua Baird getting past Sam Winton now, so Sam Winton has plummeted through the field as we're actually running on board with Joshua Baird, this lovely helmet cam that we have access to. You can see he's got to be very smooth on the controls here at Pocono, because if you're aggressive on these cars with the bumps, it can very easily unsettle it.
Yeah, it can, can't it? As we've said so many times throughout turn 3, that's the problem for them. As we see Joshua Baird lifting the throttle a little bit down into 4th gear, sitting about 9,500 RPM through turn number 1. He's got the problem. We see back of Jan Hoffman in the number 5 car and Sam Winton right behind him, and they're piling on the pressure as he keeps looking in his mirrors. You can see those boys there as we cut back to the normal TV broadcast. And who have we got here? This is the number 33 who we are on board with now. That's Timo Isanimi from Finland, and he's having a very good race, Jack. Lifts a little bit throughout turn 3, which they always need to do. He is going so hard as we look to the right now at the number 35 car there of Carsten Brodvik, who's going around the outside and taking the high line. So he got a really good start there, Jack.
He has indeed. That's what he needs to do. Looking back up towards Matt Cook, he looks as though he has closed down the gap on Robert Grosser just a little bit. He is within a second. He's on tyres which are much, much less worn. Obviously, this battle you're currently looking at on your screen, exiting turn number 2. This is between the drivers, the 05, that's Jan Hoffman. And on his outside is the driver of Josh Baird, currently separated by not even a tenth of a second. We have lost on this lap Todd Novosad, a large incident for him that's brought him down onto pit lane. 81 laps remaining now in this 500-mile race. And for Jan Hoffman, to the outside he goes, tries. The grip just isn't there. I don't think that high line is working for these drivers so far today, Tom. And it isn't usually one that is favoured here at Pocono. Sam Winton now going to be looking down to the low line, the low side into turn number 2. But Jan Hoffman just covers his line.
Yeah, Jan Hoffman there, as you see the car understeering and the tyres just scrubbing along the tarmac here at Pocono into turn 1. I don't know why they keep trying to go for that high line as we go to yellow flag conditions again here at Pocono. So this is turning into a demolition derby at the moment as we get a replay. I'm not sure who went off. It was Timo Isanimi, who was having a fantastic race so far. And what happened to him? Oh, he just clipped the rear of one of the other cars there and ended up in the wall. So he's going to be really upset there. He was having such a good race as we see the onboard, and the other car just came across on him and into the wall he went. He's lost the front wing, damaged the front suspension, so hopefully they can get him back out, but I do worry that his race will be over now, Jack.
Well, you do get a fast repair in this series, so he has got another chance to get himself back out on track, although it will be a long way down the order. What also must be remembered, Tom, is that we are now below 80 laps to go. We have seen drivers do 42, 43 lap stints, so if people come down onto pit lane now in the knowledge that they can go that far on a tank of fuel, because providing that on how many cautions we have, it could be that we will only see one more stop to get the race finished. If it goes green all the way from here, we will need 2 pit stops. But if we have cautions, this is where the strategy gets interesting.
Yeah, to be honest, if I was, depending on my situation, how my tyres and fuel were now, I'd probably pit now if my tyres are about 15 laps old. And then pray a little bit that we get one more caution on about lap 160, 170, pit then, and then get myself back out there, and then pray that we have green flag conditions and just fight my way back up. And then finish the race on ruined tyres and low fuel as we see Robert Grosser, the German, in the number 1 car. He's coming down pit lane, pitting from 2nd position. So in he comes. Can he stop it on his marks? Of course he can, every time. The car's stopping well, bang onto the limiter. We see a lot of drivers coming down. So as I say, Jack, a lot of them seem to be taking the strategy that I just mentioned. Yeah,
for Robert Grosser, that is a very sensible strategy for him, because it means that he is now okay. For one more stop, caution depending. We only actually need, I think, 2 cautions from now to be able to probably have the fuel strategy for them to be able to do 41 laps on a tank of fuel, even 40 laps on a tank of fuel. It's usually good for about 38. With some fuel saving, you can do 39. So you don't actually need too much saving under a caution period, Tom, to be able to get 40 laps. So maybe just one more caution after this, and the drivers will be good for one more stop to the end. I think for the guys like Andrew Wood, that was a bad strategy call. He's taken the strategy of staying out and having track position, as opposed to the one that maybe Robert Grosser took, and taking strategy position and having a bit of a strategy advantage, knowing that he's now on fresher tyres and on the opportunity to go just one more stop to the end.
Yeah, it's a strange one from him, isn't it? I would have thought that he probably would have pitted there and then taken the strategy that we've been mentioning. As we look at the number 007 car of Henry Bennett, who we've said has had a good race. He started in 5th on the grid and he's currently running in 6th. So a good race from him, a good solid consistent laps that he's been putting in at Pocono at the moment. We are currently under yellow flag conditions if you've just joined us, as the Finnish Timo Isanimi ended up putting it into the wall after collecting another car. I hope you're all enjoying at home as much as we are here in the commentary box. The pace cars lights still stay on. And there's another couple of drivers coming down into pit lane. Not sure that's coming down to the pits. I think that might be a back marker, Jack.
I am not sure. We have crossed the line once more, and that does mean that this time, I think the lights are off on the pace car, so we'll be back to green flag racing next time around. We will indeed. You cannot see the very bright flashing lights of the pace car as the field heads down into turn 1. It has just shrunk just a little bit. Down to just 22 cars out on circuit now. 28 took the green flag. And But, of course, that means that we have had 6 retirements. Those 6 retirements are Jonathan Diggs, Hans Pitkin, Klaus Peterson, Marshall Stanley, Matt Molnar, and Lucas Laville, the Frenchman, finding bad luck in one of our very early cautions. But for Andrew Wood, for Matt Cook, 2 teammates back together again, Tom. Do you reckon they'll work as a team to try and gap the others behind them?
Yeah, I think that's the best strategy for them, isn't it? That's what they're going to have to do. I mean, Matt Cook's in second place, and he really is the one that's got everything to lose at the moment. He is the number 1 favourite, I think, here at Pocono. So whether they work as a team or whether they just let them race remains to be seen. But we are coming around the second turn, number 2 here at Pocono, behind the safety car, the number 27 car. They're on board with Andrew Aitken, so he's going to be getting ready. He will be switching off the fuel saving modes that they will be using behind the pace car here, and he will be getting ready to start again under green flag conditions.
As Andrew Wood heads to the high line through turn number 3, the pace car runs down low on the optimal racing line. And you can just hear the engines purring. It's like a cat waiting to be released to chase down a mouse, and the mouse is about to go. And the mouse has been released. The green flag will fly now. The mouse has been released. Andrew Wood goes. Matt Cook follows, and actually Matt Cook getting bogged down a little bit on the start, so that gives Andrew Wood a little bit of an advantage. Already half a second his lead. A few cars darting out of the draft to head into turn 1. One of those is Jan Hoffman. He's putting the pressure on Joshua Baird. They're going to go side by side through turn number 1. Joshua Baird holding that outside line. It's not as optimal. It's getting slightly better as the race goes on, but for Jan Hoffman, they're going to stay side by side. Not very often you see that one happen here at Pocono. And into turn number 2, Henry Bennett is going to go side by side with Randy Shoemake. This is going to be a big pass if he can pull it off. So Henry Bennett actually looking like he's going to be able to get the pass done on Randy Shoemake. He's managed to get up into position number 4. Joshua Baird got an absolutely incredible one off turn number 2 there. And he's going to go side by side with Randy Shoemake. He gets the loose mid corner when Jan Hoffman comes through, and I think he may have made small contact with the wall there.
Yeah, I think he did, didn't he? But Jan Hoffman is now coming under pressure from Joshua Baird, who backs off a little bit into turn 1. These boys fighting nice and hard now. Jan Hoffman knows what he's got to do. He'll have team orders. And they're all coming nicely through turn number 1. They're all into single file. As we look a bit further up, Matt Cook now is starting to put the pressure on Andrew Wood. He is right up behind him coming out of turn number 2 now. Right buried in that slipstream as they come into turn number 3. He will be back off the throttle a little bit, down into 4th gear, looking to take the high line. Has a little look on Andrew Wood. As they come down the back straight to complete another lap. He's not got any pressure from Andrew Aitken at the moment. Matt Cook right buried in the slipstreamers are on board with the Canadian now in the number 46 car. So he's right up against the gearbox. He'll be feeling the heat from that IndyCar in front of him in the Aero X car, sorry. He'll be up into 4th gear, up into 5th gear, maxing out the revs, and he's literally buried right behind him. This is so close between them. You couldn't even put a cigarette paper between these two guys at the moment. But as we can see, Andrew Wood, Jack, seems to be holding him off now.
I wonder whether Matt Cook is just sat in the slipstream trying to save some fuel, because also he will know that Andrew Wood, his tyres are almost double the life. 29 laps older Andrew Wood's tyres now, so they're going to be more worn. For Matt Cook, all he's got to do is wait for Andrew to make a mistake, slip it down the inside, and he is off and away. Matt Cook, can you get a move done? No, he's not going to try into turn 1 this time. Andrew Wood still going to hold that lead, but for Andrew Aitken, he's actually being brought back into this one. Henry Bennett, keep an eye on him in the closing stages, Tom. He is all of a sudden back into this race. It just shows that 500 miles, a lot can happen in that time.
Yeah, it can, can't it? But I've got to say, Henry Bennett in the number 007 car is coming under pressure from the number 3 of Randy Shoemake now. So he doesn't want to lose that. But as we sit with these guys, he's also got Jan Hoffman, who is eagerly awaiting to make that move. He is going to be biding his time, maybe saving a little bit of fuel. As we go back now to our leaders, Matt Cook here, still not able to get past Andrew Wood. I think you're right, Jack. I think he's going for fuel and tyre saving strategies, but he really isn't letting the number 32 of Andrew Wood get away here.
No, and that's what he needs to do. As long as he can stay there, he can save some fuel, because he knows that Andrew Wood is a very capable driver in these IndyCar machines. Heading into turn number 2 this time, Matt Cook looking actually the slightly slightly different lines. I think Andrew Wood is going a little bit more on the defensive side. This is bringing Andrew Aiken back into it very quickly. And very soon we'll bring Henry Bennett back into it as they exit off of turn number 3 to start lap number 131 here in this race. 129 of them have been racing, just 72 laps to go. 72 laps remain in this race now. Matt Cook, yeah, Andrew Wood, he's going defensive there, Tom, so he's actually going to be losing time. This very quickly is going to bring in 2 very fast and capable drivers, potentially 3, in the form of Andrew Aiken, Henry Bennett, your championship leader, and Randy Shoemake.
Yeah, this is bringing it all into play, isn't it? So I said at the start of the race, there's been the point where the boys are really starting to push now. But honestly, if I was Matt Cook, I'd probably go for the dive, which he does. He has a little look up the inside on board there of the number 32 of Andrew Wood, but decides to back out at the last minute, and I can't blame him because I think that would have ended both their races and ended up in tears. So Matt Cook really starting to pile on the pressure now as they come into turn 1. I think Matt Cook's been told he probably needs to get past Andrew Wood now, as he will be able to see in his mirror that the guys behind him are coming, and they are coming on fast. As Matt Cook comes out, he goes low, takes the low line, coming into turn number 2. Yes, he does. He gets past Andrew Wood as we go back to yellow flag situation here at Pocono. And who's that off? That's the number 12 of Caleb Weekly, who's not having the best race he's ever had, to be honest. What happened here then? Coming into turn 1, he takes the outside line, he goes high, and I think, yeah, he just got a little bit out of shape, and that cost him. The drivers behind him were very lucky there not to collide into him. So we are back to yellow flag racing.
We are indeed. Caleb Weekly, another one who's being caught out by the turn number 1 and the bumps here at Pocono. We're going to step aside for a few moments here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. We will be back, ready for the drop of the green flag. Do not go anywhere.
So, you want to race in NASCAR. The road starts here. Introducing the eNASCAR at Night Series powered by iRacing. This is the gateway for all aspiring 13 to 16-year-olds. Starting June 20th, ignite your dreams of one day racing in the top tiers of NASCAR. Go to www.iracing.com/ignite for full details.
Lights still on the top of the iRacing pace car with 69 laps remaining here at Pocono for the Classic IndyCar Series 500-mile race, their one race of the season of this very long distance. Currently past the time limit of any usual race that we see. As lights go off on the pace car, we will be going back to green flag racing, and Mr. 3-Time will be bringing us around to the green flag. Mr. Robert Grosser, Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis on the cameras. And Tom, so far a very exciting race going into the remaining 70 laps. It could get very interesting with strategy.
Yeah, it could do, couldn't it? We saw a lot of the guys during the ad break take to the pit lane. I've got to say, the one man who didn't capitalise on that very well was Andrew Wood. So he pitted in second position and came out in P9. I was watching his pit stop and it seemed like a bit of a long one. He seemed to take on a lot more fuel than everyone else. So it's going to be interesting to see how he capitalises on that later on.
It will indeed. Top 8 currently up on your screen at the moment. Robert Grosser, Franz Josef Sturm, they're going to be your top 2. Matt Cook, who has been very strong all day, in 3rd. Andrew Aitken in 4th. Henry Bennett in 5th. Jan Hoffman in 6th. Randy Shoemaker in 7th. And Randy Krosno in 8th, as you're getting a very detailed look at the iRacing.com pace car. For those of you who are watching and are not members of iRacing, go and check it out. Get yourself a 3-month subscription and you will be able to try it out for yourself. And of course, if you want more action, subscribe to the iRacing Esports Network. We have many great series coming your way on this very channel as the field rounds its way through turn number 2 up towards turn number 3. The pace car will stay down to the low side. The music goes quiet. That can only mean one thing: the green flag will drop in just a few moments' time. Mr. 3-Time will be bringing us around to the green flag as he heads through turn number 3. Behind are going to be the drivers of Matt Cook. In fact, no, they're not. Matt Cook is going to be bringing himself down onto the pit lane. So Cook with a problem as we go back to green flag racing. Cook has hit issues. This could take him out of contention for the win in such a late stage of this race. And Robert Grosser back again under green flag racing. Has got some traffic between himself, Franz Josef Sturm and Andrew Aitken. This is playing very well into the hands of Robert Grosser, Andrew Aitken, Henry Bennett. That battle is on your screen at the moment. They're being joined by Jan Hoffman now as they head down into turn number 2. Orange versus orange, and Henry Bennett not going to be able to make any moves so far on this lap.
No, he's not, is he? But they're all gone a bit single file now, and they're all having to look at their moves as we see here the number 3 of Randy Shoemaker taking Jan Hoffman up the inside. He goes low, which is good, but Jan Hoffman takes it back actually. He fights back. So a good move from him. He seemed to get the run out of turn 3, didn't he? The German there in the number 5 car. So a good move from him. I just want to talk a little bit quickly about Matt Cook. It seemed that he did pit at the last available opportunity. So maybe it's a bit of a strategy change from his team there because he is back out on the track. But apart from the lapped runners, he is currently sitting in 15th and last of the non-lapped drivers. So fortunate for him, it was a very quick stop though, of only 7.1 seconds there, Jack.
I'm not sure, maybe he forgot to change tyres as Robert Grosser is going to be giving way to his Vortex teammate, Timo Usniemi. Usniemi is a lap down, he's managed to get himself back on the lead lap now. You're currently looking at the battle between Jan Hoffman and the driver of Randy Krosno. Randy Shoemaker as well getting involved in that one. Randy Krosno making his way back up through the field. He's back in front of Randy Shoemaker for the first time since his accident. 65 to go as they head through turn number 1. Jan Hoffman left out, hung out to dry on the outside. And Krosno, nice and easy through on the inside. Next one is going to be the driver of Randy Shoemaker. He's moving to the inside now. Going to be down into turn number 2. Jan Hoffman cannot do much to defend. And through comes Andrew Wood as well. So 3 very quick drivers, and Jan Hoffman all of a sudden once again getting absolutely swamped.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? And he's falling back down the grid as Randy Shoemaker takes it up the inside into turn 3, and so does as well does Andrew Wood. So Jan Hoffman losing out on 2 places as they go side by side now. Does Randy Shoemaker and Andrew Wood in the number 32 car. These boys are fighting hard now, coming into turn 1, and it looks like, there's nearly Jan Hoffman had to get on the anchors a little bit there. Nearly hitting the number 3, Randy Shoemake, but Andrew Wood gets himself up into 5th position. And that there, Jack, as we're getting a little bit late on in the race now, could be race critical as we go on board now with Joshua Baird, and he is having a brilliant fight with Ryan Hellier. Seems to have got the move done on Sam Winton though, however. So he's driving really well here. Up into 5th, he'll probably knock it down to 4th as he does into 4th gear, and then back across the start-finish straight again.
Indeed, so lovely side-by-side footage with the on-board of Joshua Baird. You can see actually how effortless it is to drive this car around here, but I can promise you there'll be a lot more going on. Part of it will be mental. Looking at on the right-hand side of your screens, the battle between the drivers of Randy Shoemake and Andrew Wood. Wood and Shoemake getting very close that time. Into turn number 2, they're going to stay side by side, and I think Shoemake might just have the advantage. He does indeed, so Wood losing out to 5th position. Randy Shoemake going to be inheriting that on. Henry Bennett, though, he's up to 3rd, and he's now challenging Andrew Aitken for 2nd. Robert Gross is going to be looking at his timing screens going, I need to watch out for this guy because I know he's quick and I know he's hard charging.
Yeah, he's going to have to, isn't he? Also for the fact that they now haven't got Matt Cook as part of that threat. But Joshua Baird looks like he's going up the inside of Jan Hoffman, and they do touch. So Jan Hoffman manages to make it stick, and they've nearly touched again. Joshua Baird gets very out of shape there, coming out of turn number 1. That could have been absolutely fatal for the pair of them, but Jan Hoffman manages to capitalise and keep Joshua Baird at bay for the time being. There was a little bit of smoke and a little bit of tyres touching there, but Joshua Baird is now right up on the back of him again, Jack. As we go on board with him now, he's going to be fighting hard. He's going to have the engine turned up to 11. As we go down the start-finish straight, he goes high, takes the high line. Jan Hoffman takes the low line here at Pocono to try to take the defensive line going into turn 1. And it looks like Jan Hoffman backed off there and lets Joshua Baird through.
He has indeed. Hoffman has conceded the position to Baird. Might have been a good decision, bearing in mind they almost made contact just 1 lap ago. Ryan Hellier has managed to get his way past the driver of Franz Josef Sturm. They are still side by side going into turn number 2, but Sturm is on the outside, almost making contact with the wall, and Sam Winton next. He wants a piece of this one. He wants 10th position by the looks of it. And for Franz Josef Sturm, he seems to get himself up the order on the cautions, Tom, and then drops back down again. Once the green flag racing starts, he just hasn't got the pace to keep up.
No, he hasn't, has he? Which is unfortunate for him, really. But you know, we still could get more cautions, and I'm expecting either 1 or 2 more cautions in this race at the moment. But looking a little bit further up the grid, who have we got? We've got Andrew Wood trying to make a move on Randy Shoemake coming into turn number 2. He tries to look up the inside and tries to take the high line, but doesn't quite make it stick there. But as we come into turn number 3, I think he might get this run here, Jack. They're running 5th and 6th respectively. But no, Andrew Wood does back off and lets Randy Shoemake go a little bit up the road, although looks to be that Andrew Wood has got a bit of a run here going past the start-finish straight.
With 59 laps to go, you can see the tension being turned up once again, and it just shows that these drivers are very much now thinking, right, I know that I now need 1 more stop to get to the end. I know that I need to get my foot down, get myself going to be able to get everything done. It's going to be a long race still to go. 60 laps at 43 seconds a lap. We're still looking at about 50 minutes, an hour left in this event, and Andrew Wood taking the inside curb through turn number 2. That's not something you want to do very often. Very easy to lose the front end if you do that. We have got a car high through turn number 3. That's the driver of Carsten Brodby. He is, of course, a lap down, and Henry Bennett currently making his way through the traffic. So traffic is going to start to be playing into the hands of your leaders. As you can just see going through the bottom side of your picture about 6 seconds ago was Robert Grossi, your current race leader. Strategy has managed to put him back up the front, and it's the strategy that we've seen from the likes of those drivers, Tom, that's managed to keep him at the front. We saw from Matt Cook all day long, but he's now down in 15th position.
Yeah, he is, but he is making places up. He's coming on to the back of Caleb Weekly pretty fast now. So it's going to be well, I say pretty fast. He's still got about half a lap, but he is making that up quite quickly throughout this race. But Robert Gross at the moment, he's going to be smiling because he's got quite a considerable lead, around 2 seconds ahead of Andrew Aitken as we speak. But Henry Bennett, Jack, I've got to say, from that initial incident at the start of the race, he's done very, very well to make it back up.
Yeah, and for Henry Bennett, it shows why he deserves to be championship leader here in the Classic IndyCar Series, because it means he can pull off drives like this, showing why he's one of the best IndyCar drivers on the iRacing service. One driver who was meant to be here today and wasn't is the driver of Joshua Chin. He is actually the iRacing Indianapolis 500 champion for this year. He won the race back in the month of May. We are going to catch up with Tim Hauser as well in a few moments' time. We go to caution once again. We will catch up. He is not racing here today, but he is the reigning Indianapolis 500 winner for the Classic IndyCar Series and one of the experts in these long-distance races, Tom. And long-distance races, it's definitely one that really does push the drivers to the limit. And actually, I'm going to go as far as saying it pushes the commentators to their limits as well.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It does push us to our limits, but we do it for the love. We do it for, we have our reasons for doing it, and it's exciting for us to see as we see on track now. Who is that going up the inside? That is that's Randy Shoemake there, who seems to have conceded a position to Randy Krosno in the number 74 car. So unfortunate for him, because I've got to say, Jack, Randy Shoemake, when we saw halfway through the race, he was doing so well and making up a lot of positions after his incident, and now he just seems to be dropping back again, and he's sort of going to start dropping back into the number 23 of Joshua Bird.
Yeah, Josh just looks as though he's settled down into a rhythm. Ever since getting past Jan Hoffman, he's managed to pull about a 6/10 gap over the driver, meaning that he's now got a little bit more of a comfortable position. He can put eyes forward. He's got 3 seconds ahead, though, to the drivers of Randy Krosno. You're looking at that battle now. Andrew Wood to the inside of Krosno into turn number 3. No turn 4. What turn 4? And Randy Shoemake getting very loose. Same with Andrew Wood. There was almost Randy Krosno. There was almost an instant between them. Are they going to try and take it 3 wide down the straight? There's room. No, they're not, because Shoemake's going to try and go for the high line. He's getting brave into turn number 1. We're going to be going to 54 laps remaining now, approaching 3/4 race distance. Randy Shoemake's going to get himself past Andrew Wood. This is a great battle for 4th position we're seeing here at the moment, Tom. And they're actually managed to drag themselves up a little bit more to the driver of Henry Bennett, who's currently in a battle for 2nd with Andrew Aitken.
Yeah, they're having a fantastic race, aren't they, these guys? So Andrew Wood now, he's going to be looking back and thinking, how can I capitalise on this with the number 74 of Randy Krosno? And Andrew Wood does go up the inside of Randy Shoemake there into turn 3.
Got a caution.
And we're back at caution flags here at Pocono. And who is that off? That is Sam Winton, which is unfortunate for him. He was having such a great race. As we look at the the Race Spot TV replay here, Sam Winton, it's just the same story again. He was lucky he didn't clip the guy behind, or I think they did clip, but he's ended up on the roll bar there. Everyone else manages to avoid him, but he will go down pit lane and take his repair as he needs to and get himself back out there then. So I don't think he lifted enough, Jack. I think that it understeered a bit too much, maybe on older tyres, and that's just cost him his race there.
The deadly understeer strikes again through turn number 2, and Sam Winton, another driver who has been taken prisoner. That means that Robert Grosser has now lost his advantage at the front. We're talking of Robert Grosser and Vortex Sim Racing. We are going to be talking in just a few moments to TM Hauser. Tom, he's one of the top drivers in IndyCar as well. He was able to make it today, and I know that he's going to be coming in and talking to us a little bit about the team that he drives for and Vortex Sim Racing. He's also one of the drivers who used to drive for that team. Michele Constantini was looking like to be one of the big drivers for the championship win. He's gone and joined 1050 Barbanera Racing for the rest of this year, taking a step back from competitive sim racing. But now we are going to catch up with the Vortex Sim Racing driver of TM Hauser. And TM, obviously not able to make the Pocono race today, but I think you're having a lot of fun on the sidelines and just watching your teammates have a good race today. So far, Robert Grosser leading the way.
Yes, hello, good evening. Yeah, I just joined the race watching the race about for 20 minutes now. When Robert decided to stay out, and Timo as well. Well, Timo was not very happy with Robert staying out, obviously, because he couldn't get the lap back. But I later advised Robert to let Timo pass. Kind of a team order there. And now I hope Timo gets his lap back. Should work out.
So I'm guessing your role today is obviously you've not been able to take part, so you're more of a team manager strategist for the final 50 laps.
No, not really. Guys figured it out themselves. We have JRT running. They do mostly all the calculations with that. So, but when I see something, I tell them. We contact. And they have been working the whole week on the setup. Robert and Timo have been in the sessions every day, I guess. And yeah, now they seem to get the fruits from this work.
And obviously, you are a very experienced driver in these long distance races. Obviously, myself and Tom haven't really got any experience on the whole side of driving a 500-mile race on an oval. Just take us through what it's like as a driver to not only drive it, but also win it as well.
Yes. This is... Well, generally I like long distance races, but I have my limits. Talking about myself, my limit is like 2 hours. After 2 hours, my concentration starts to get lower and lower, and this is kind of difficult. Also, the big races like the iRacing Indy 500, for example, this year or all the years before, it's a huge excitement. Well, I'm always very nervous before the race and tell myself not to try to win the race in the first few laps. And yeah. And most of the time, the problem you fight with the car. It's not the other thing. It's trying to get consistent laps and trying to balance the car out with ARBs or weight checker, whatever you have on at hand. That's the most of the time the work, and also the strategy, when to pit, what to do. And like now it seems not a bad decision from Robert staying out, because he told me that he can finish the race with one more pit stop. So everyone needs to do one more pit stop anyway, so it will be interesting.
And before I release you back to your team and help these guys get to the end very, very quickly before we go back to Green Flag Racing, who would you like to give a shout out to?
Hey, first shout out to Robert, organizing Classic IndyCar Series. It's great. Also Logical. And also our long-term sponsorship by Logical and JRT. They are awesome. Last few years, Vortex is going through a hard time now, and I guess we will hear by the end of the year, we will hear some news about this. Don't want to tell more now. Enjoy the race.
And back to Green Flag Racing we will go. Thank you very much, Mr. Hauser, for joining us. Very unfortunate you couldn't be here today to defend your 500-mile championship or champion honour in the Classic IndyCar Series, but the pace car will dive itself down onto the pit lane. Mr. Three-Time will get himself back into Green Flag Racing now. The green flag will fly from the gantry, and Robert Grosser getting a very good jump over the driver of Andrew Aitken. There's Henry Bennett as well. They're all starting to gap themselves out. Well, Randy Crosno and Andrew Wood, they put the handbags away for just 3 laps under the caution, but they're back out once again into turn number 1. They are running nose to tail. Joshua Baird just behind them. Lovely static shot down to the inside, showing you how fast these cars, they're already up to 200 miles an hour, Tom. Also shows that the acceleration like these cars are rocket ships when you think about it.
Yeah, I do miss them racing actually. The new IndyCar model that we got for this season, the 2018 car, doesn't seem to have the soul that these 2011 cars did. So it was sad to see them go, but obviously in a virtual world we can let them live on and let them race. So Henry Bennett now running in 3rd position. He will be looking ahead at the guys in front, and he'll be thinking, now is the time. We've got 49 laps to go. Now is the time that I need to start capitalising on this. This is the time when all the strategy, all the tyres and all that hard work, as Tim Hauser said, comes in for all the teams. They've been practicing all week, and this really is the part of the race that really, really does count for them. Robert Grosser is your leader in the number 1 car. fighting hard against Andrew Aitken. Henry Bennett behind him in third. Randy Crosno is currently lost out to Andrew Wood, so Randy Crosno moves down into fifth and Andrew Wood is up into fourth. Joshua Baird is a little bit further back and we've got Randy Shoemake behind him trying to capitalise and take that sixth position from him on the track.
And we have looking like we might have a pass for second position. Henry Bennett to the inside. He makes contact with Andrew Aitken. Aitken gets pushed really high. He manages to keep himself out of the safety barrier. Very good driving from himself. He's going to lose out to Andrew Wood. Let's have a replay up on your screen from above. Lovely aerial shot brought to you by ATVO, official graphics partner of Racebot TV. And you can see that Andrew Aitken just turned into the corner. Well, on the inside, there was a lovely orange car of Henry Bennett. They do make contact. They're both back going again. Not too much damage on those cars. Looking further back in your field, this is Josh Baird by the looks of it. Randy Crosno, Jan Hoffman and Randy Shoemake. They're all having a good fight. Too wide, too deep. Almost contact once again between Randy Crosno and Jan Hoffman. That means that Jan Hoffman has had to jump down to the inside, but Crosno gets the inside line. He gets past one, which is Randy Shoemake. He's going to do two by the looks of it. He's going for Josh Baird, and he's going to do Josh Baird, but Randy Shoemake can try and come back onto corner exit. Can he get a good drive off the corner? No, he cannot, so they're going to stay too wide, too deep for now. Not going to go three wide just yet into turn number two. Looks as though Josh Baird he has the advantage over Randy Crosno for now. But Jan Hoffman still holding that outside line, meaning that Randy Shoemake cannot get the optimal line into turn number three. But here comes Jan Hoffman on Randy Crosno. Hoffman has gone for the outside line. That's not the optimal line in three. And Shoemake now going to be able to take advantage from that one. Vessi Ollie are looking to also take advantage back up to the front of your field. Andrew Wood and Andrew Aitken, those who are going to be battling it out for position number three. Aitken obviously lost out to Wood because of the incident just one lap ago. But for Andrew Wood, he's holding on nice and tight.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, another battle I want to talk about here is Henry Bennett. He's going for the lead. He is right up behind Robert Grota. So he has done brilliant work here at Pocono. He's been fighting really hard. He had that initial incident for the guys that were watching with us at the time. But now he is right back up at the front of the pack as we're on board with him now. A little lift through turn three, down into fourth gear, rises the revs all the way up to 10,000 RPM, up into fifth and then into sixth as well because he's got the slipstream. So he's going to try and capitalise that, and there's not even really a tenth between them at the moment, Jack. So these guys are really going hard out as we look a little bit further down your pack. Randy Crosno takes the inside line. Joshua Baird gets a little bit out of shape as Randy Crosno nearly hits the wall there, and he is right behind Joshua Baird. As who's this coming back into? That is the one Matt Cook. So I said he would start to come back up, Jack, and he has. He is now a part of this battle, and I'm going to say it, these guys will be looking in the mirror and thinking, oh my God, my position is going to disappear as we go into turn three. Jan Hoffman, he gets a good run into there, although has to lift off as Randy Shoemake seems to have come off that better than anyone else through there. So, and then also it's bringing the number 027 of Ryan Hellier into play with these guys as well.
Currently a nice big pack from running from P5 to P12. That's Randy Crosno right down to 12th position of James Payne. But for Matt Cook, he's brought these drivers with their trousers down, and he is fighting his way through. We saw him have that extra pit stop, and I wonder whether he's all of a sudden brought himself back into it, riding on forward with the number 46 Aero X machine into turn number two. An almost flat corner, 330 kilometers an hour, just a smudge over 200 miles an hour, around 205, 206 miles an hour through that corner. And you can see the slightly tighter line through turn number three Matt Cook takes. That might mean that he can get a slightly better run, but for Randy Shoemake, he's going to want to be trying to get past Randy Crosno. We haven't a pass for the lead. Henry Bennett has managed to make his way up into the lead. Andrew Wood has managed to make himself up into second position. So Robert Grosser going from first to third in as many corners, and he has all of a sudden lost out on all that he needed to do.
Yes, we've got a replay back here from what happened between them. So we see him coming up now, and he just gets the inside line and just manages to capitalise on that. So good move from those guys. They are fighting hard, and yeah, it's really starting to come into play, isn't it, Jack? Really, I mean, we said that these guys would start fighting with around 50 laps to go, and that is what they are doing here now.
And it's so 42 laps remain in this event. Not too long to get these guys, or for these guys to actually settle any qualms that they have, and it will go faster than you think. Just one, basically it's one more fuel stint now to the end. These drivers will have to make one more stop. Robert Grosser, I might have an explanation as to why he's been a bit slower than everyone else out on track, Tom. He's on 38 lap old tyres.
He's going to be waiting for a caution flag then, isn't he? As he has a little look at the inside of Andrew Wood there for second place. But Robert Grosser, the German, he is going to be thinking to himself, over 37 laps on top, that's a long time. But he's still putting lap times in with the best of them, I've got to say it. We know how capable he is around here, and he seems to be showing that here today. He is one of the better drivers, and he really is showing it in the number one car. So he's going to be hoping in the next couple of laps for a yellow flag situation, then he can fuel and get tyres until the end, and then just keep going basically.
Matt Cook has moved his way up into position number 6 now, putting the pressure on to Randy Crosnow in the 74. Bear in mind that the three-car train that you're looking at right now, they're all teammates, all part of the AeroX Banshee squad. For Matt Cook, he's clearly been the star driver of that one. He led quite a lot of the first half of this event, led quite a lot of the first 3/4 of this event. He's lost out quite recently. Andrew Aitken looking like he's trying to go for a pass on Robert Grosser. He actually had to hit the brakes into turn number 1. We're back to caution. Robert Grosser is going to be doing little leaps in his rig right now because he knows that he is safe to the end. There is a driver looking like he has made a mistake through the final corner. That's Sasha Lamp for Torque Freak Racing. Let's have a look what's happened here through turn number 3. Just gets out wide. Was it? Oh my word! That was a snap oversteer and a half. And well, Tom, this is where I get to teach you a little bit about the in-car controls. He must have had his weight jacket and his anti-roll bar set just slightly wrong. Basically, the anti-roll bars and the weight jackets, they can tighten and loosen the car, and I think for Sasha Lamp, he had it a little bit too loose, snap oversteer, and hello, a safer barrier.
Yeah, we don't have that sort of stuff in Formula One, Jack. So it's good that I'm learning about the IndyCar ways of things. But now it's going to be all on strategy. So I'm looking to see what these guys are going to do towards this break as they start to collect now. So Henry Bennett, he collects the safety car there. And then we will see whether they go down pit lane or not, although I'm presuming that most of them will to fuel to the end.
They will indeed. We're going to step aside for a few moments here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing Esports Network. You'll be able to watch the pit stops side by side, and we will be back in a few moments' time, ready for the drop of the green flag.
Before you can get on track, you'll need to calibrate your wheel and pedal set. You'll need to do this in iRacing, even if you have already done this using your own controller software. Prior to entering the sim, make sure you've downloaded and installed the latest drivers from the manufacturer's website. Once that's done, follow these easy steps to calibrate your controller. We recommend calibrating in a test session, so pick a car and then click test. Don't go into a practice or official session. The last thing you want to do is have you go on track and crash into another car. Once you're in your test session, click on the options button. You will then see input calibration. This is where your calibration takes place. Start by clicking on the steering button. You will then be prompted to turn your wheel fully one direction and then another. Make sure you place your wheel back into its centering position before hitting done. Now you'll be asked to turn your wheel 90 degrees to the left. Make sure it's at 90 and hold it there while hitting done. For pedals, click on the pedals button. Here you'll be asked to press the throttle all the way down and then release it. You'll do the same for the brake and clutch pedal if you have one. For the gearbox, you'll first be asked to set buttons for sequential shifting. Once complete, a prompt will ask if you have a H pattern shifter. If not, hit no. If yes, click it and you'll begin to map the gears individually. Once you've completed these steps, you are calibrated and ready to go racing.
164 laps down, 36 remain in the Pocono 500 in the Classic IndyCar Series. Welcome back to the Classic IndyCar Series, boosted by logical Jack Styles, alongside Tom Jacobs, with Hugo Luis on the cameras, bringing you all the action all the way to the end. The drivers can go from here on one more fuel stop. Jan Hoffman has used strategy to his advantage to put him up at the head of the field. Everyone else taking their final pit stop this time around as the pace car heads down to the inside and the music goes quiet. That can only mean one thing. Green flag is going to fly this time around. Looking back from the driver of Jan Hoffman, we are going to go RaceSpot TV fan immersion. Henry Bennett down to the inside of Jan Hoffman into turn number one. Matt Cook is waiting in the clutches. Jan Hoffman got a nice start, led one lap, but could not hold off the faster drivers for just that long. Matt Cook going to be next as Henry Bennett becomes your new race leader. But can Matt Cook make any advantages? He's going to go side by side with Jan Hoffman into turn number two this time. Cannot get any moves done. He can indeed, actually. So yes, Matt Cook up into second position. Randy Shoemake now is going to be the next one to tick off the list. Jan Hoffman now down to fourth position. Andrew Aitken going to take advantage, make that fifth. Andrew Wood make that sixth. Jan Hoffman going to first to sixth in one lap, Tom.
Yeah, he did, didn't he? Which is unfortunate for him. I think it's due to his strategy. I think his tyres might be a little bit worn. But if we look a little bit further up the grid, this is the battle I really want to see. Matt Cook, Henry Bennett, two of the fastest guys around here at the moment. And these guys are, really, really pushing it on. As we see Andrew Wood on your screens, he's going up the inside of Andrew Aitken. He takes the low line into turn number two. Doesn't seem to be able to capitalise on it there. So he's still firmly in fifth position. As we see Matt Cook still right on the back of Henry Bennett as they go past the start-finish straight. Matt Cook seems to have got a decent run now out of turn number three. He looks out to the left, takes the low line. He had the slipstream and he had the speed. Let's see what he does here. Is Henry Bennett going to yield? I think he does a little bit, and he has to take the high line because Matt Cook is there. So Matt Cook, after that weird pit stop strategy, seems to have paid off for him. So he obviously knew something that we didn't, Jack.
He clearly did, so he can go to the end from here. So Matt Cook back into the race lead. Henry Bennett now under the challenge of Randy Shoemake. Can Randy make it? A 1-2 for Aero X Banshee. Down to the inside he goes into turn number 3. 300 kilometres. He's got to scrub a lot of speed off, but so does Henry Bennett. Bennett gets a better run off the corner, and through he goes, keeping that second position. So Matt Cook up into your race lead. Andrew Aitken, Andrew Wood, they're still side by side. You can see them in the middle of your screens into turn number 1 this time. Wood holding that inside line, and Aitken to the outside. Aitken holding the high line clearly working for him there because Wood cannot get past.
Yeah, he can't, can he? So maybe we are seeing that high line starting to come into fruition now. Andrew Wood cannot seem to get past, can he? And I've got to say that Matt Cook is starting to pull out of a little bit of a lead, which is good for him. So that's what he's going to have to capitalise on, as we see that Henry Bennett is now coming into the clutches of the number 3, Randy Shoemake now. As Randy Shoemake takes a little bit of a higher line coming out of turn number 3, but he seems to have the run. He's tucked in under the slipstream, and he really wants to make this a second place finish for him, and basically a first place finish if he can get it. But Matt Cook is looking so strong around Pocono here. As we look at Andrew Aitken and Andrew Wood, they are still sitting respectively, but we are on board with Randy Shoemake now, the American from Texas, in the number 3 car, right behind Henry Bennett. Let's see what he can do. They are actually closing, by the looks of it, a little bit on Matt Cook now, so I don't know whether Matt Cook's He's using a little bit of fuel saving strategy to his advantage here while he's got a bit of clear air. But as we see, Jack, Randy Shoemake can't seem to get past Henry Bennett at the moment.
No, he cannot indeed as we head across the line. 30 laps remain in this event. Just around, trying to do maths in my head, I will tell you how many miles that is. I know it's less than 100 now. I think it's around 60 or 70 miles remaining in this event. So for Randy Shoemake, he hasn't got much time to get it sorted. For those of you wondering about time, we will be finished in around the next half an hour. We're approaching the 3-hour mark, which will make this Mr. Jacobs' longest ever broadcast that he has ever done. For Andrew Wood and Andrew Aitken, that gap has spiked out a bit. Currently looking at on your screens the battle between Timo Isiniemi and the driver of James Payne.
Yeah, James Payne, we haven't mentioned him much, have we? I mean, he started in 31st position, Jack, and now he's made his way all the way up to 11th, and he seems to have got past Isiniemi now. He's done Isiniemi and he's done Ryan Hellier as well. So the James Payne in the number 63 car, he has really capitalised on this now, and I think he would have gone for a much different strategy to a lot of other people. So he did start quite far back, but he's now capitalised on that. So the number 63 car, he'll be trying to hunt down the number 05 of Jan Hoffman.
And while all that was happening, Matt Cook has managed to extend his lead at the front of the field to 1.3 seconds. Henry Bennett busy in the battle with his teammate, meaning that Matt Cook has got an opportunity to get away. This is going to play into his advantage if this goes green to the end from here. Another lap down with 28 to go now here at Pocono. It's starting to round itself off. The pace is starting to pick up once again. It's not the 43.1s, the 43.2s that we saw at the very start of this race, but it's quicker than what we've seen so far all day today in the middle of a portion of this race, Tom, and it just shows how much these drivers are starting to push as they know the checkered flag is coming closer and closer.
Yeah, they're having to push and they're having to work hard, aren't they? This is the time now where the concentration will start to be going. As TM Hauser told us, after the 2-hour mark, you start to get a little bit fatigued and a little bit tired driving around. So Andrew Wood and Andrew Aitken, they've sort of gone their separate ways now, and Matt Cook is starting to pull out a considerable lead over Henry Bennett and Randy Shoemake. So Shoemake knows he's got to get past the orange car of Henry Bennett if he wants to go chasing Matt Cook down. Because if we don't get any more cautions, Jack, which as I say that, we do get a caution flag. And who is that? That is the number 12 of Caleb Weekly. He's had a race he'll want to forget. As we look at the replay here now, here on RaceSpot TV and the iRacing eSports channel, we've just come round turn 3, and I think it just got out of shape a little bit there, Jack. He's unfortunately he clipped the wall, but he did take the low line through turn 3, so that just goes to show us that maybe the high line is the one to be on in turn 3 at the moment.
I would slightly disagree. If you look at where he lost the rear end, it was possibly or just offline. Also could have been a case of those in-car controls were not set correctly. So we're back to caution status here at Pocono. Another 26 laps remain in this event. It's very slowly coming down. It doesn't feel like too long ago, Tom, that we were looking and thinking, oh, we've got 170 laps of this race left. It's going to get very exciting. After this caution, we're going to be at around 22 laps to go. And what more can you say, Tom? Obviously, I think this is the point where it starts to lull in the cautions. So let's have a little bit of a conversation about what's happened so far in this race. Matt Cook, let's first of all talk about him. He's been up the front.
Yeah, he has been, hasn't he? He has had a really good race. As I say, he obviously knew something that we didn't when he took that late pit stop. I'm still interested to see why he did take that. But now he's back up into first position, and I said that he would make the places back up, but he's had to work for it. But he's going so well at the moment, and obviously, as we can see, he's got Henry Bennett behind him and Randy Shoemake. So another one that I really want to talk about at the moment is the one Jan Hoffman in the number 05 car. He looked so promising about halfway through the race, and he seems to have dropped off a little bit. But don't count him out. We know how fast he can be round here, Jack. And he is a fast driver, but I think his strategy has let him down today.
It has indeed, and I think for Jan Hoffman, the strategy of being in track position, not strategy, has not paid off. For Robert Grosser, it paid off for a long time, and he's tumbled back down the field to 7th position. There are some drivers bringing themselves down onto the pit lane, so maybe thinking that fresh tyres is going to be the way to go. Andrew Aitken looks like he is one of those. Another one being Jan Hoffman, although that's expected because he's a long way into the stint. He is on very old tyres. A lot of the mid-pack as well bringing themselves down into the lane there, Tom. So a lot of the front runners going to be staying out for as long as possible because they know they can get to the end. But Andrew Aitken going for a bit of an alternate strategy, thinking, if I can have fresher tyres than the guys ahead of me, that could play into my hands quite well.
Yeah, it could, couldn't it? It'll be interesting to see how that does play out for him. One thing I want to talk about is Henry Bennett actually sort of bluffed going into the pit lane. He went to go in and then bailed back out again. So I'm not sure why he did that. Probably to try and throw Randy Shoemake off and try to get him to make a pit stop. But yeah, looking down, I think Matt Cook is obviously, as we know, is the one that's got it all to lose at the moment. And Henry Bennett will be looking to be the one to capitalise on that. But Andrew Aitken, because he's now pitting, he knows that he's going to have the fresher tyres here.
Oh, well, he's pitted. He hasn't exited his pit box. So for Andrew Aitken, this is a very long stop here, Tom. I wonder whether fatigue has maybe got too much and he's called it a day. Have to wait and see. It's now been nearly a minute since he brought himself into his pit box. Lights are still on the iRacing pace car, so we're still going to be going for one more lap at least. And yes, there you go. Andrew Aitken is out of the car. Oh, actually, no. Correct myself. He's out and away, so he's back out onto the racetrack. Maybe a little bit of a refreshment stop there.
Yeah, maybe he did a Kimi Räikkönen and just decided to have an ice cream at the back of the garage. But yeah, a bit of a strange one from him. I don't know whether he had some damage and he was trying to repair it. But now he's got a lot of work to do, and it seems odd that this stage of the race that he decided to do that, because I mean, he's not been the quickest out on track today, but he has been fighting with the front runners, Jack.
He has indeed. So he's back out and away. He's going to cycle to the back of your field, cycle down to 14th position, because he will stay on the lead lap. Matt Cook crosses the line. The lights on the iRacing pace car are off, so we will go racing once again. And Tom, who is your bet for the win here at Pocono?
I'm going to say it. I think Henry Bennett might take it. And I'm going to say this because he did drop off from Matt Cook, as we saw during that last green flag situation. But my theory is that he did that to save tyres and fuel. So I'm interested to see what your opinion is actually on who you think is going to take the race win, Jack.
Matt Cook has been strong all day, but I think Henry Bennett has still got a chance. He's not championship leader for nothing. He did win the Classic IndyCar Winter Series, which ran between the two summer series of 2017-2018. He was winning by that for a long way, and that was all on road courses. He's shown himself up on the ovals as well so far this season. So I wonder whether he can take it. Watch out for Randy Shoemake behind, though. Watch out for Randy Crosno as well. Both very capable drivers, but Matt Cook looking pretty steady at the front of your field as they come round to take the green flag. It will be 23 laps to go. Do not, I reckon actually, Tom, there's a good chance that we could go green to the end. We've seen green flag runs of that long, so if we go green to the end from here, it'll be around another 10, maybe even 15 minutes to the end of this race, so not too long for these drivers now. The end is in sight, but they are going to be very fatigued, very worn out by now. This is not an easy way of doing racing, especially long stints in the car. So as the iRacing pace car ducks down to the inside, Matt Cook will take the role of the mouse, and Henry Bennett will take the role of the cat. Who will jump first and who will get the advantage into turn number one? iRacing pace car makes his way down onto pit lane this time. Matt Cook, in fact, actually, Randy Shoemake looking eager to go, but a little bit too early. Matt Cook, green flag flies, he's back to racing, running on board with the number 3 of Randy Shoemake in position number 3. And you can see as he runs down the straight, everyone's starting to spread out just a little bit more because they're starting to build up the speed as into the first corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, or your top 10 basically running line astern. A little bit of battling further behind between Franz Josef Sturm, Vestibulio Olliger and the driver of, I think that was a back marker actually, so Andrew Aitken, who's dropped down to 13th after his extended pit stop. He's on fresh tyres as he makes contact with one of the other drivers. That is, I believe, the 134 of Franz Josef Sturm, and that actually unsettles Sturm. So Andrew Aitken getting the shoulders out, Tom, to make his way back through the field.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? So he'll be fighting hard because he knows he's now got the fresh car, but he's got it all to lose, so he's got to really push now. But what I want to talk about actually is the fact that Henry Bennett got a brilliant start on the green, and he is pretty much right up with Matt Cook now. And these boys, I've got to say, I think this is going to go down to the wire here as Randy Shoemate comes under pressure now from the number 32 of Andrew Wood, who goes to take the high line and has a little look, but doesn't seem to be able to capitalise on that. So Randy Shoemate coming under pressure, but so is Matt Cook. So I think I was right in saying that Henry Bennett may have been saving tyres and fuel for this last little bit of the race, Jack. Matt Cook's going to be looking in his mirrors and thinking to himself, this boy's coming now, I need to get my foot down.
It's going to be Power Slide versus Aero X for the closing stages of this event. Do not count out Robert Grosser and Logical Vortex Sim Racing. Of course, the Classic IndyCar Series is boosted by Logical. Logical offers professional solutions to satisfy the needs of virtual drivers. For this reason, we have created, with the help of a professional, passionate team, several tools that will easily adapt to the driver himself, to his or her way of driving, reacting and feeling. We invite you to sense each lap, each acceleration, each turn, not to imagine but to experiment that you are really there, or experience that you are really there. Go to logical.com for more information. Going back to the race, Matt Cook still leading the way. He has managed to pull half a second now over Henry Bennett, so Bennett may be starting to lose out. The tyres are the same age, but they are 18 laps old. They've been through a heat cycle as well, Tom, so we could be getting to the point where the tyres are starting to get worn, and this is where the strategy from Andrew Aitken could play into his hands of having the fresher tyres.
Yeah, it could be like Red Bull at China, isn't it, where they pitted at the very last minute and then managed to capitalise on that in that Formula 1 race and managed to go on towards the win. But as we see Henry Bennett now, he's starting to fall back a little bit from Matt Cook, although he seems to have done a better job at turn number 3. So he's going to be sticking right behind the number 46 of Matt Cook as they come across the start-finish straight. Randy Shoemake isn't too far behind either. So these boys will be fighting nice and hard. There's about 6/10 between Henry Bennett and Matt Cook at the moment. And it's opening and closing depending on what corner they're going through. I've got to say, Jack, Henry Bennett does seem to be stronger later on in the lap.
He does seem to be stronger. I wonder whether he's just running a tiny little bit more downforce than Matt Cook. You don't want to be running too much here at Pocono because you will affect yourselves on these very long straights. Go to someone like Richmond where we went earlier on in the season. High downforce strategy is actually, or high downforce setup is actually a blessing rather than a curse. Here it would be more of a curse. If you can sacrifice 5 kilometres down the straight, but if you're 5 kilometres through the corner, if you're 5 kilometres quicker down the straight, it's definitely worth doing. Henry Bennett still within a second. He's got 6/10 behind him, the driver of Randy Shoemake. Behind Randy Shoemake, just 4 seconds further back, is Andrew Wood. Randy Crosno is just another around 6/10 of a second, 7/10 of a second behind. Andrew Aitken, going to give you a quick update on him. He is currently 6 seconds back from your race leader and losing time. I think his strategy of him being dropped to the mid-pack has actually not worked. Wonder why that has happened. Currently riding on the board with Henry Bennett, and before the end of this race, let's take you for a lap on the board of Pocono Raceway at full speed with Racebot TV fan immersion. As the Power Slide Motorsports Classic driver rounds out turn number 3 to cross the line. 16 more laps remain here at the Pocono Raceway for the Classic IndyCar Series. Their 500-mile race for the year. Jack Stiles alongside Tom Jacobs with Hugo Luis on the camera is going to be bringing you the final moments of action as we're looking at the battle between the drivers of Ryan Hellier. I believe this is Ryan Hellier and James Payne. I may be wrong, and I am indeed. This is actually between Andrew Wood and Randy Shoemake for position number 3. We're having a bit of a change on the camera. It's just 2/10 separate these two. And Andrew Wood getting a very bad run through turn number 3 that time, Tom. He's lost 4/10 that time through there.
Yeah, he was lucky to keep it out of the wall, actually. If you're losing that much time coming out of turn 3, you know you've had a bit of a problem. But all the guys, your top 5 now, finishing off with Randy Crosno, they're all going a little bit single file at the moment. So they will be fighting hard, as we know, in those cars. But Matt Cook seems to be now edging away from Henry Bennett. So maybe my predictions were wrong, but we shall all see if we do get one more caution flag. Anything can happen here at Pocono, as we do know. But the Canadian of Matt Cook, he is driving very, very well here today. It seems to be his race that he's controlled all the way through. But a lot of the guys now, as we can see, Jack, are just sort of pacing themselves a little bit. James Payne under a little bit of pressure from Vesa Olia. But apart from that, all the guys single file, everyone's all happy, and yeah, we seem to be having a good way to close down the final 14 laps here.
Indeed so. Coming into, as you said, the final 14 laps, their numbers are tumbling fast. And the numbers are tumbling fast for the likes of Henry Bennett. He's got to do a lot of work to get himself further up the field. Currently looking at the battle, heading into turn number 3. Right about now, this is the one that I said about a couple of laps ago. I'm going to come back to it. James Payne and Vesa Olia ahead is James Payne's teammate of Ryan yes, he comes through turn number 3 and exiting the corner. There's not much more that these guys can do at the moment, but Hellier moving down to the inside at the moment. Can James Payne make any difference as they come into turn number 1? 13 laps remaining onto lap number 188 of this race, Tom. James Payne sitting patiently behind his teammate at the moment.
Yeah, he is, isn't he? So he's having a good race. As I say, we didn't mention him much at the start, but he's come back now and he's fighting for a good set of positions here and a good place to finish in. But I've got to say, Henry Bennett, if we look, is looking like he's gaining slightly on Matt Cook now. So it looks like Matt Cook may have wound the engine up and has scrubbed a little bit off of his tyres. So Matt Cook will be looking in his mirrors and he'll see Henry Bennett coming, or maybe that Matt Cook made a slight mistake out of one of the corners. But I've got to say, Randy Shoemake is also gaining on the 007 car of Henry Bennett here, Jack.
He is. Last time around, he was just not even 1,000th of a second slower, so the times were back. Matt Cook did have a slow lap a couple of laps ago. That brought 2 tenths back into it, but watch out for Randy Shoemake. They're all running very similar times. Randy Shoemake does have the fastest lap of the race so far. The tyres are getting warm. Timo Sinyemi has managed to get his way past Joshua Baird on his charge back through the field. And Andrew Aitken as well, looks like he's done a very similar thing. So Aitken back up to 7th, so he's in a decent standing with points at the moment, Tom. But he needs to do a lot more work to be able to have any chance in the final remaining 10 laps.
Yeah, it's been good for him. I think that strategy call was possibly the right one. I don't know why he spent a minute in the pit lane, but it seems to have, he seems to have capitalised on that. And he is moving his way up the field, but he's got some work to do. As we see, Robert Grosser now has taken the low line up on Randy Crosno in the number 74 car, but Crosno seems to have taken the high line. It seems to be the line to take as they come up close, and Crosno nearly in the wall there. Very, very nearly in the wall. So that could have been absolutely disastrous for him, because I know he would have collected Robert Grosser as well. So these boys, they are fighting now for position. This is race critical for them now in the closing 10 laps, Jack, as Robert Grosser does back off a little bit. I don't think he wants to get into an incident with the number 74 car.
Less than 10 laps now remain in this race. Robert Grosser clearly trying. We got a car off. Will we stay green? That's Vesa Olia. Let's find out. Replay up on your screen now. That's a very large incident that had already happened when we saw it. He has turned himself back onto the pit lane, so we will stay green. Flag racing in the closing stages. And you can just see there, heavy contact with the wall. Let's have a look. Was it a case of he was getting back going because there was more damage on there than we saw? And, that's very heavily damaged car there, Tom. That's Vesa Olia's race over in the very closing stages.
That's upsetting for him, isn't it? I mean, he was having a very, very good race. He wasn't the quickest out on track, but he was always sort of there lingering with the front pack. So unfortunate for him, but that is racing, as we say, as Michael Schumacher used to say, we must work and never give up. So that was one of his sayings that he used to say to his Ferrari engineers whenever it didn't go right, which he did many times, and I used to cry. So Matt Cook now pulling out a lead again on Henry Bennett, so I don't think that was him fuel saving. I think he had a little bit of a moment earlier on. Randy Shoemake now is starting to reel in the number 007 car, so I think that Randy Shoemake might put himself up into second place later on, Jack.
You can quite clearly tell that Mr. Jacobs is a Michael Schumacher fan as they come down into turn number 3 once again. Matt Cook has got a lead of around 9/10 of a second, so he's actually going back out again. 7 laps to go as they cross the line this time. It's all they need to do to get to the end. Not too much work now. Shoemake is what Bennett needs to worry about, because Bennett needs those points for the championship. Looks as though Hans Pikkonen isn't here today. He is, but he's 97 laps down. He's a DNF, so either way, Henry Bennett will be extending a nice big advantage up at the front of the field, although it looks as though Hans Pikkonen will lose out to second in the championship to Robert Grosser, and that's a big hit for Hans.
Yeah, it is for him, isn't it? And he'll be upset by that because he was out quite early on in the race itself, which is not good for championship points. As you know, in any motorsport, a DNF is not what you want. As Andrew Aitken now looks at the rear of the number 1 car of Robert Grosser, and he's very, very close. Coming out of turn 3, he looks to take the high line there as somebody goes off to the left. I believe that's a back marker, but now as they come down the back straight, he's right in the slipstream is Andrew Aitken of Robert Grosser. He'll have the car turned up right up to the max. He'll be using all his fuel and all his tyres that he can because they know they're coming towards the end. Seems to have got a better line coming through turn number 1, and now he's got the run coming down towards turn number 2. He dives out of the slipstream slightly, and he has got the run as Andrew Aitken in number 27 car, and he does take it. So he moves up into 5th place. Robert Grosser, Jack, there didn't even seem to offer a challenge at all.
I think that's because Robert Grosser is on such old tyres as Matt Cook crosses the line to start another lap. Just 5 more remain here at Pocono. We're getting to the point where if we have a yellow, we're going to be finishing under yellow flag conditions. So I think 2 more laps and then we'll be into the stage where if we get a yellow, it's yellow to the end. Battle for second position. Andrew Wood almost losing it through turn 1. Andrew Wood, Henry Bennett and Randy Shoemake all involved in this one, with Matt Cook just a little bit further up the road. Randy Shoemake putting the pressure onto Henry Bennett now. And you can see coming through the corner. Very tough. I think the drivers are starting to struggle on such worn tyres now, Tom.
Yeah, they are, and the car is also probably going to be blinking at them that they haven't really got much fuel left. The engineers will be saying, look, it's starting to get down to fumes level now. We know that these boys have been on these tyres for quite a long period of time, depending on what pit stops they took. But Matt Cook is capitalising on this battle behind him, and he'll be seeing it in his mirrors, and he'll be knowing that he can pull away now. As Randy Shoemake is coming under pressure from Andrew Wood, and Andrew Wood takes the low line, manages to just get the front wing on the inside, but he does back out going into turn 2, and I think that's a wise move from him there, because that could have cost them both their race, Jack.
Indeed so, and Andrew Wood trying very hard, clearly, to try and get himself onto that final step of the podium. I wouldn't try now, I'd try it in the last 2 laps if I were you. Right, we are now at the stage where if a caution flag flies, we will finish the race behind the iRacing pace car. So these drivers now need to be very careful not to bring this absolutely cracker to a very sad end. Andrew Wood looking down to the low side into turn number 1, but Randy Shoemake going to close the door very abruptly. Matt Cook now has some traffic to deal with. That is the driver of Franz Josef Sturm. Sturm is through. Henry Bennett needs to deal with him next, and he's the more critical one because he knows he's got 2 drivers waiting in the clutches who are all fired up and ready to go. And as actually Randy Shoemake using the inside curb very heavy through turn number 2. He's losing a little bit of time now to Andrew Wood, but Wood is too close to take advantage. Sturm down to the low side. Wood having to use the high side. That's going to lose him a lot of time in that battle for 3rd position.
Yeah, it did as well because he got massively out of shape coming out of 3. The car started to go a little bit sideways, but he managed to catch it, which just goes to show how good a driver he is. So the one that really got out of that back marker the best was Matt Cook. Henry Bennett lost, I think, probably about 3 or 4 tenths behind Sturm there, which is unfortunate for him. He's been shouting for blue flags in the helmet of that car. So Andrew Wood is your number 32 car, and he's currently running in 4th, and he is putting a lot of pressure on Randy Shoemake now as they come down towards turn 3. Randy Shoemake goes a little bit low, just to tell him, you know, I am here and I am going to defend and I'm not going to let you pass so easily. So we don't want a yellow flag though, boys. That is the last thing that we want right now. We want this to go to the absolute end, and we want a complete thriller and a brilliant climax to this brilliant race.
White flag flies. One more lap separates Matt Cook from victory in the Pocono 500. Currently looking at the driver exiting around turn 1. What an absolutely dominating drive he has had so far today. Henry Bennett, Randy Shoemaker, Andrew Wood. The battle still continues, but we ride on board with Matt Cook as his head decides to disappear into the abyss. Out of turn number 2, into turn number 3. What an all he needs to do now, nice and steady. Doesn't even need to push. For the number 46, Matt Cook and Aero X going to take the win here at Pocono for the Pocono 500 for the Classic IndyCar Series. And Matt Cook will take the honours off TM Hauser for the 500-mile champion. Henry Bennett going to bring it home second, holding off Randy Shoemaker and Andrew Wood. But Tom, what an absolutely storming drive all the way to the end by Matt Cook.
Yeah, it was brilliant, wasn't it? I literally can't fault him, and I'm going to have to give him my driver of the day. Not that we would normally give it to the winner, but the thing is, he pitted and he took a very, very big gamble pitting there and still made it capitalise and still got to the end on the top spot of the podium. So a great drive from him and absolutely faultless.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, let's not hang around. Let's take you to your finishing positions as Matt Cook will bring himself on to the main straight to perform the ceremonial donuts. Matt Cook takes an absolutely defending, storming win after 500 miles by 2.3 seconds over Henry Bennett. Randy Shoemaker going to be coming home in third, Andrew Wood in fourth, Andrew Aitken fifth, Robert Grossman in sixth, Timo Sinyemi in seventh, Randy Crosno eighth, Ryan Hellier ninth, and Joshua Baird going to round out the top 10. James Bain going to come home in 11th, Jan Hoffman in 12th, Franz Josef Stumm in 13th, Carson Brobby in 14th, Mike Gerlicher in 15th, Sam Winton in 16th, Vessi Ollier in 17th, Jos van der Ven in 18th. Johnny Gregg going to round out your 19-car field, who finished in 19th. Non-finishers are going to be Caleb Weekley, Sasha Lamp, Todd Novosad, Jonathan Diggs, Hans Picklin, Klaus Peterson, Marshall Stanley, Matt Molnar, and Lucas Leville. We're going to step aside for just a couple of moments here on Racebot TV, and we'll be back for post-race coverage from Pocono, catching up with all the drivers who had an absolutely storming race today. Stick around.
I want to leap over buildings, want to fly over the shores, faster than a lightning flash, rushing through the cool night air. So start ignition, count to zero. I just wanna be a superhero. So start ignition, count to zero. I just wanna be a superhero.
true test of human endurance is over. The Pocono 500 miles has rounded itself out, and Matt Cook took all the honours. A lights to flag victory for him. He started on pole, and he's brought it home to victory lane. We'll be catching up with him in just a few moments' time, but first of all, Tom Jacobs is stood behind with the person who's finished second, the Brit, Henry Bennett.
Henry, a great drive from you, and it's great to have you in the interview booth. We're just going to do one question, and then just on time. Did you think at the end, we were watching it quite closely, that you were going to be able to catch Matt Cook, or what? Were you just biding your time? What was going through your mind there?
I knew Matt and the rest of iRacing had a really good set, and it was really fast at the start of the stints, but I noticed they were getting quite squirrely towards the end of their stints. Like out of one, they were getting quite loose. So I was hoping our set, we designed it to be better over a long run. So I knew he'd be able to pass me early in the run, but I was hoping the longer the run went on, we'd be able to catch him, which we did kind of catch him like a few tenths towards the end there. But then that lap car kind of bulked any run we might have had. But yeah, they had such a good set that they really deserve the win.
Great, a brilliant drive from you anyway, and congratulations on the podium. Just before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to thank?
My teammate Andrew, everyone who's watching right now, rest of my team at Powerslide, you guys for covering it on RaceSpot, and the league organisers who do a great job.
That's Henry Bennett there, everyone. Thank you very much.
And next of all, we're going to be catching up with the driver who third today. That is going to be the driver Randy Shoemake. Randy, first of all, congratulations on such a sterling run in a very long race. That must have been a big test of human endurance.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
And very quickly, just take us through what it's like running in those final few laps between Henry and Andrew up at the front. Did you ever think you could manage to get yourself into second position?
I had an outside chance of getting past Henry, not a good one, I don't believe. I think our cars were equal, and so there was really, he didn't make a mistake. I think I made a mistake that allowed him to get a run. Obviously, Andrew, had an opportunity, and because of his successes and knowledge and trusting, I was able to race him that close, and I didn't just lift and let him by, but it's because I trusted him that he would control his car, and I would do the very best to do mine, and we had such a good finishing race, and so my hat's off to him.
And well, unfortunately, we're a bit pushed for time today, so we're going to cut the interview a little bit shorter. Who would you like to give a shout out to today?
I want to thank Robert and Lucas for putting the league on. Obviously, our team, Randy Crosno, Matt Cook, congratulations. Mr. Aitken, Andrew helps us all, and just really appreciate their help. My wife's support is immeasurable.
And while there is Randy Shoemaker, he finished third today. Tom Jacobs, you are stood beside with our winner on victory lane, Matt Cook.
A brilliant drive from you, Matt. Obviously, we were watching up here in the commentary booth, and I can't congratulate you enough. Was there any time towards the end of the race where you thought that Henry might be able to catch you?
Yeah, definitely a few points. Made a few mistakes, but it seemed like we were having a bit of a draft lock there where the car behind was having a hard time pulling up on the car in front. So that kind of gave me a little bit of a buffer, I think, at the end. But it all comes down to the way it plays out, right? And this time I got away leading the pack, so...
Yeah, absolutely. Just quickly, I just want to ask, your pit stop, I think it was probably after caution 7, you took it as the pace car was, and we were going back to green flag racing. Was there any reason for that, or?
Yeah, that would be one of those silly moments where I accidentally hit my fuel button and didn't take any fuel. So rather than take a chance on no caution or something of that nature, I decided to pit and get on the end of that lap.
Well, it seemed to capitalise for you anyway. Just before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, definitely a shout out to Robert for hosting a great league, and Lucas for helping him with that. Also to AeroX and all the great work they did this week.
Brilliant work. Congratulations on your win. And for everyone at home, Matt Cook, everybody, your race winner today.
Very well done, Matt. You did an absolutely sterling job at the front of the field. Not many people could even get close to you today. Next up, we will be speaking to the driver who finished 6th, because that's one I chose out of the people who are still left. Robert Gross is joining us from Logical Vortex Sim Racing. First of all, congratulations, Robert. Very quickly, we're going to have to keep the interview nice and short and sweet. You're running up at the front from around lap 130 for a good number of laps. Was that a case of just making sure you had the car nice and steady in there and making sure that everything was okay?
Yeah, thank you very much. I had a quite eventful race. Was staying in touch with the top 3 at the beginning as much as I could, because especially the Aero X cars were really, really fast and were pulling a gap. But I was trying to keep my nose clean, and at some stage I just decided I have to do something differently than Matt if I would to make any sort of impression on him. So I went on a different fuel strategy, but in the end it was obsolete pretty much, and so I ended P6. Not too unhappy though.
And well, very quickly, who would you like to give a shout out to? Who gets it done for you today at Logical Vortex?
Yeah, first of all, our partners, Logical Innovative Engineering and also Joel Real Timing. Then I would give a special shout out to my teammate Timo Isoniemi. Especially he worked a lot on the setup, I have to say. And then, of course, our special pace car driver, Jack Stiles. Thanks so much for doing this, and the whole RacePod team for broadcasting this. Thank you very much.
You are very welcome. Robert Grosser came home 6th. Tom Jacobs, you are going to be catching up with the driver who finished 4th, and that is Andrew Wood.
Hello, Andrew. A good drive from you, a good solid drive. You came in 4th. There was a part of it where I actually thought that you could capitalise and maybe take the win today. Your battle with Andrew Aitken towards the end, was there any sort of time that you thought he might get you, or were you just happy that you could keep him at bay?
Yeah, first of all, thanks for commentary. The battle with Aiken was pretty much ongoing all race long, like our lengths of him. So, I felt like my car was a little bit faster than him on most of the track, but there was a couple of places where I had a little more straight line speed than as did most of the top 5. But yeah, no, I believe that I was gonna, once I got ahead of him, I was pretty much.
Brilliant. And before we let you go, is there anyone that you'd like to give a shout out to today?
Absolutely love to give a shout out to Robert for all the great drivers that are in it. The commentary team, obviously, job today. And of course, my teammate Henry Bennett, who running 1-2 there, just like we were in Richmond last race, and really thought we had something for the. It was a good race overall. I trouble, so that's all.
Brilliant. Your 4th place finisher there, Andrew Wood in the number 32 car.
And we have just one more driver to catch up with. That is a driver who wasn't up the front for most of the race. He sat quite comfortably in the mid-pack. And that is Ryan Hellier. Ryan, first of all, congratulations. 9th position, just about scraping yourself into the top 10. We saw quite a lot of hectic driving going on in the mid-pack.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy in there. There was a lot of incidents where there was just people flying across the road, and I managed to hit my brakes to avoid them, thankfully.
And of course, one more very quick question. Going forward to the rest of the season, you put on a good show here today. Are you hoping for very similar things in the final few rounds?
Well, consistency seems to be my strong point, so hopefully I can keep finishing on the lead lap, and I'll be happy towards the end of the season, I think.
Well, very quickly, before we wrap up, who would you like to give a shout out to today?
Robert and Lucas for doing an excellent job of organising this event. There was a lot of stuff that went on behind the scenes, so thanks very much to them. Also, thanks for the pace car driver. You did a good job.
Thank you very much. That was Ryan Hellier coming home in 9th today. That's about all we have time for here today on RaceSpot TV, streaming live on the iRacing eSports network. But first, let's give a shout out to everyone who gets it done for us here at RaceSpot. Our cameras are provided by Istvan Balau and TrackCams22.com, and our overlay is designed by Andreas Werner of Andvern Design. It's developed by AppEngineering.com and Simon Grossman, and our live timing and scoring, as always, provided by Nick Thyssen over at RaceBot.tv/live. That guy over there has been Tom Jacobs. I have been Jack Stiles. The camera work has been done by Mr. Hugo Luis, and we will be back in 3 weeks' time from Mid-Ohio for more action from the classic IndyCar series. You do not want to miss it. But from us at Pocono, from the Pocono 500, we bid you a very good night.